Welcome to listening to stories on Kevinport TV audiobook channel. Chapter 631. Nina in Hell. The Hell Gate opened up, sending a gust of acidic, searing wind reeking of rot and blood. Nina closed her nose. "It's horrid," she gasped. "It's hell, and the 9th layer nonetheless." Malta pulled a small band, throwing it to Nina. "Cover your mouth and nose with this. There's no clean air inside. This would help you breathe without your lungs melting from the acid." She then gave her 2 pairs of goggles that she pulled out of her magic pocket. "And after you put those on, I have a protective robe for you." Nina looked at the ground as Malta kept pulling protective gears from her magic pocket. "Do I need all of this? You know I can't die. No one dies in hell. They suffer for eternity." Malta stared at her. "You need the gear as long as you aren't native of the hells, meaning a devil, and you're a devil or half-devil? Pure-blood devil, and an old one at that," Malta replied as she helped Nina wear the protective clothes. Their design is a bit complicated for a barbarian to figure out, and Malta didn't want her ripping them off. "How old?" Nina looked at her. "You do look young. I was alive well before the War of the Gods." She looked at her. The War of Gods, that was over 5,000 years ago. Nina looked at her. "Since people don't die in the hells, we devils end up living for untold ages. I believe I'm deep into my 8,000. Malta smiled. The 2 walked into the gate, and Nina immediately gasped. Even with the protective gears, she could feel her skin burning as if she stood close to a furnace. It quickly got harder to breathe, and she could feel the bones inside her limbs as she moved. They stunk like a sore tooth. As Nina opened her eyes, she found herself standing behind Malta in a massive room made of black stones, strange obsidian metal, and lava. "This is hell?" "No, it's my basement." Malta looked back at her. "But before we walk out, please keep this in mind." She approached Nina. "We're in the 9th layer of hell, the harshest and most dangerous. The weakest devil here we call a disgrace soul worm of rot is capable of beating 10 of you working combined." Malta glared into Nina's eyes. "This is the place where powerful sinners get sent to be punished, including dragons, titans, and demigods that failed to ascend. You don't want to fight anyone here. Don't taunt anyone, and don't break anything." "I'm not that stupid." Nina stared at her. "We just need information about Arad." "That's it." Malta sighed as she heard Nina's response, but knowing her, she might snap at anyone. As they walked out of the basement, Nina saw a maid succubus wearing a strange black leather outfit approaching them. "Lady Malta, who is that?" she asked, her eyes glowing pink. "She doesn't smell like a sinner? Is it food?" "She isn't. Don't touch her. And tell the other maids not to. She's our guest, and will be leaving soon." Malta stared at the maid, and she bowed. "As you say, Lady Malta. What a shape. She smells quite nice." Malta and Nina walked past the maids. "Say, is she a succubus?" Nina asked, looking back at the maid. "Don't look at her." Malta grabbed Nina by the head, turning her to look away from the maids. "She's a succubus that worked for the mother of all life. Look her wrong and she'll get turned on, and you don't want her going crazy." Malta waved her hand, signaling for the succubus to get back into her work. The succubus maid smiled, waving her hand. "Don't forget my food next time." "Hey," Nina poked Malta's back. She didn't feel that strong. "As I said, don't be an idiot here. Succubus disguises themselves as humans to prey on humanoids. They are proficient at hiding their strength and pretending to be weak. Forget about the weaker devils in this lair. She'll give you a worse fate than hell's torture." As they walked past some imps, wiggling their way around the corridors. "Lady Malta, Pipple says hello. Good day upon you." One of them waved his hands, his tail wiggling like a puppy, as his ugly face formed a smile that can only be described as unsettlingly adoring. The other imps bowed behind him, and Malta smiled. "Pipple, the papers are ready, right?" "Of course." He bowed and then looked at Nina. "A guest? What shall I bring you?" "Nothing. She's only here to ask Spindle a few questions," Malta said, She'll leave before you can prepare anything. How sad my regret." He turned toward Nina. "Lady, I don't know who, my greetings and farewells. Please stay safe. Your blood smells quite nice." He sniffed the air, brimming with life. "How many times have I told you not to sniff other people's blood?" Malta bent forward, smacking him on the head. "Get back to your work." The imps all rushed away, leaving Malta and Nina alone. "And that imp is a blood imp, and the other are regular imps? He's working here as a translator since we get all kinds of creatures." Malta pulled Nina by the hand. "We wasted a lot of time. Let's go, and yes, he can wipe the floor with 20 of you, so don't even try. Is the difference that great?" "It must be that great. If you were to turn evil, commit atrocities in the world, then die and get sent to hell for torture and punishment, the devils here should be able to handle you. That's why they are strong." "The job calls for it," Malta explained. "I thought devils convince people to sin?" Nina looked at her. "So they get more work, it's business. The more sinners, the more work, the better pay they get." Malta smiled. "Remember the maid? She often watches the outside world, looking for men and women that she likes. When she finds one, she goes out to seduce or convince them to cheat to force themselves on other people. So when they sin and get sent to her, she can have them as her toys for a long time. It's all a carefully constructed plan. Larb Murrigley. Devils are lawful evil creatures. They have their own rules and role in the multiverse ecosystem as the punishers of sinners. They abuse that power as much as they can for their own whims. As they walked into a massive room, Nina froze in place as she saw two massive red eyes glaring at them from the darkness. Torches ignited all over the room, and she could see the massive creatures sitting on an obsidian throne, glaring down at them. Malta returned to Spindle. He stood barely fitting in the room as he glared down at Malta and Nina. Spindle is happy, happy indeed. Malta looked at Nina. "My husband, Spindle." She smiled, then looked at Spindle. "Darling, we got something we want you to look at." Spindle doesn't need to look. "Spindle got a good nose indeed," he said, his head wiggling. "Foul smell, even by hell's standards. You better report that to the inner court." "I know, but can you tell us what you know?" "That's the smell of an abomination, a third-grade one. By the way, I only fought the weaker first and second grades." Spindle's face changed. "Whoever you lost is dead. He's Arad Orion." Malta looked at Spindle, and he froze. "No way Master would kill us." Spindle started shaking. "He didn't kill us, so must be still alive somewhere. Can you help us?" Spindle started thinking. Let Spindle have a look. He looked inside the box, inspecting Arad's arm. An ooze type. No, a dream walker. It stands at 10 feet tall, vaguely humanoid in shape, but extremely slender, and its whole body is covered in black slime and smoke. It can force people into a dreamland, knocking them out. Spindle looked at Malta. "Those bastards travel in a group, so they must have taken Arad to their colony to suck on his psychic power. He's a void dragon, after all. How do we defeat them?" "I don't know. In the past, it was Lady Zaleria who dealt with them." He looked at Nina. "As with all abominations, they are ineffable. You don't either system experience from them, as they are outsiders, and you can't learn how to fight, as they are hard to comprehend by nature. All loss and no benefits to their existence. Do we have a chance to save him? You better ask someone free to help you. There are 3 in the outside world that can beat those abominations and are easy to talk to." Spindle looked at Malta, taking a serious face. Caden, the god slayer, Gray, the clone of divinity, and Senna, the shadow of creation. "We need to find them first," Nina mumbled. "Our best bet is Caden. He's the strongest of them, and we can find him easily." Malta smiled. "Thank you, love. No need to thank Spindle." He smiled. "I hate serious talk, but not when it's necessary." He looked at Malta. "Guide her out and come back. We still have a lot of work." Updated from Chapter 632, Dragons Are Vultures. Nina returned alone to the mortal world, walking out of the Hell Gate, and immediately took her protective gears out to stretch. Her skin itched from them as if she was wearing needles. I guess a minor itch is better than the suffering of the hells. She put them in a small basket and closed the secret room. Then the guild master's office, walking down with a thinking face. The guild master was a devil, and she lived in the 9th layer of hell. She is a good leader, so I trust her even with that. But it's probably due to me being a barbarian that I don't care. Most barbarians are simple-minded, and Nina thinking about her decision and questioning her actions was a testament to her genius. Among her clan of barbarians, she's the smartest. Nina, one of the receptionists, rushed at her. She stopped, panting with a red, sweaty face. "Where have you been?" "It's awful. What happened?" Nina asked, looking around for clues. Adventurers Fowler and Johan tried to harass Ella, who was running around gathering info, and she snapped at them. The receptionist took Nina to the holy room where the 2 adventurers were getting healed. Nina gasped the moment she saw them. They lost their eyes. Their arms were shattered from the fingers to the armpit, riddled with arrow wounds, and most horrifyingly, their sacred treasures were ripped off and lying in an ice pot, probably Zephyr's doing. People seem to forget that Erod's wives are strong on their own, since he overshadows them a lot. Nina looked at the receptionist. Is this all? An army of massive ants had emerged from the forest, ready to march at any moment, the receptionist added. Nina rushed out and jumped into the sky to take a look, and her eyes opened wide. Millions of elephant-sized ants were posted outside the city, and one massive queen the size of Arad, if not bigger, stood between them, ready to march. Miriam? Roar! Nina heard a powerful roar from the clouds, and as she looked up, she saw a massive blue dragon flying in with lightning crackling from its wings, reaching the clouds it left behind. Now that Arad is gone, dragons have started showing up to steal his hoard. An adult blue? She gasped. Alcott, don't let it into the city, Nina shouted at the top of her lungs. But Alcott didn't show up. Miriam reached with her mandibles to the ground, ripping a massive boulder out. The dragon dove down, charging its lightning breath, ready to blast the swarm of titanic ants. Miriam jerked her head, throwing the boulder at the dragon, splashing its lightning breath and hitting him in the head. As the momentum carried the dragon a bit down after it was hit by the boulder, Miriam picked some of her children with her mandible, throwing them at the worm. The ants latched onto the worm's body, climbing into his back and chewing on his wings, dropping him to the ground. As the dragon crashed, the swarms of ants ganged on him, eating him alive as he roared. Like a swarm of ants hunting a small lizard, Miriam and her children are Arad's army, protecting his land. News spreads like wildfire, especially when it's someone as strong as Arad. Alcott approached the guild where Nina landed. In just 1 hour, 2 dragons showed up. I killed the first, but the ants wanted to eat, so I'm leaving them to their job. Can't you talk to them? Nina stared at Alcott. You're the dragon slayer. Dragons are vultures, but instead of corpses, the horde of dead dragons attracts them. More would keep showing up until another dragon takes Arad's horde, or it's split up to the point of being insignificant. Alcott looked at her. That brat left quite the horde. How much? I didn't see it. Nina looked at the sky. Can we split it apart and hide it? No way. His kobolds were mining and crafting all this time. He has several wagons worth of jewelry, each piece going for at least several tens of gold coins. And I'm not counting the gold and gems left. Alcott waved his hand. How do you think he's intending to build a whole castle on top of a mountain? No wonder the dragons are coming for it. Nina sighed, but immediately heard another dragon roar coming from the sky. Another one? She looked up and saw a red dragon showing up. This wasn't as big as the blue one. It was a young adult, trying to strike it rich by stealing Arad's hoard. This red dragon was watching from afar and saw how the blue dragon died. He wasn't stupid to fly close to the ground and remain high in the sky, breathing massive fireballs down at the ants' army. Suddenly, a bright beam of light flashed from the ground, sniping the dragon's head and exploding on its lower jaw. Something flashed. Alcott gasped, watching the red dragon fall like an injured bird. Merlin landed beside them. She took him down. She smiled. "Who was that?" Nina asked. "Aft that. Only the small fry, inexperienced and desperate, will show to rob another dragon's grave," Cain replied. "Also, I don't want to be there when he snaps." Jemima remembered and nodded. "You're right. The noise will wake the children from their nap. Caden can protect this place on his own, but what about Senna? She rushed out alone." Jemima stared at him, worried. "That girl still needs to learn." Cain looked back at Jemima, smiling. "She's a strong one, only needs some experience." On the other side of the city, in an isolated orphan, Caden was sitting in the garden with his legs crossed, his eyes closed as he meditated under the sun. The dragon's roar annoyed him, but he has seen worse. That wasn't enough to move him out of his meditation. But soon, the children started to wake from their nap inside the orphan, exhausted, and some of them, who were too young, even began crying. His 6 eyes opened up, glowing red. Those mutts keep yapping and yapping. He reached with his hand down, holding the guard of his sword. "Better put them down." The moment he pulled his sword out of its sheath, a hair strand, everyone in the city froze, sending Caden's eyes glaring at them. Those who never knew fear shuddered in terror, and those who knew it shat themselves as they felt as if a knife pierced their lungs. A priest tried to pray as he sensed Caden's aura, but soon he regretted it. His divine connections to his god separated. All priests and warlocks lost their connection to their power source, as even the gods didn't dare stand in the way of the destroyer. As Caden stood, ready to pull his blade, all the dragons approaching Alina burst into flames, turning into ash. That wasn't Caden's doing, but someone else. "So you saved them," Caden sighed. "As long as they stop yapping, thanks." He sat back down to meditate. Tiamat, the goddess of the chromatic dragons, burned all the chromatic dragons that tried to approach Alina with a divine tribulation. Having them die normally and go to heaven or hell is better than having their souls burned by the demon lord of the abyss, casting them to wander aimlessly in the endless darkness of the demonic abyss, or serve him as demonic dragons for eternity. Follow current novels on Word E, Chapter 633, Eldritch Monsters. Chapter 633, Eldritch Monsters. 1 week in the past, in a faraway land, a village was being raided by monsters. A man ran away toward the gate, blood gushing out of his severed arm. "Hurry, we'll trap them inside!" A guard standing at the door screamed, waving his hand for the man to run faster. The monster behind him was numerous, and he was the last one. "Don't close the gate," the man screamed, looking back to see the tall abominations glaring at him, their eyes glowing with a blue flame. Each one of them was several meters tall, engulfed in thick slime and smoke. They stood like shadows, running after him without their legs moving, a truly horrifying sight. The man reached the gate, sliding right beneath as it closed. He panted, looking toward the guard, crying with a happy face. "Thank you, you didn't leave me there." "Of course I won't let you." The guard smiled. "Now, let's head to the feeding nest." "What?" The man gasped. The guard's smile grew larger, reaching his ears. "Your wife was already sent to the breeding pen, and you 2 children were sent to the lab to be drugged and grow faster." The guard giggled as the man's face twisted into a frown. "You're old and injured. The breeding pen is already filled, so I can't send you there." The guard's face shifted, his armor melting as he grew into a massive abomination, his voice crackling as he looked closer at the man. Despair, hope, sadness, happiness, envy, and love. We feed on those emotions. The abomination lifted the guard by the head. "It's your fault. Negative emotions are easier to achieve than happy ones. That's why it's more efficient for us to make your kind suffer. You monster." The man screamed, flailing his arm and hitting the monster. "Read. See? Just a few words and you're a fine meal." The abomination smiled, unbothered by the man's thrashing. "On the other hand, one day we feed you bread to be happy, and the next you ask for milk. We give you 1 gold, and the next day you ask for 2. He shook his head. "Your race's greed is what drove us to torture you for food. Only blame your kind." He lifted his second hand, putting it above the man's head. At that moment, he froze, feeling an immense presence from the sky. The abomination's hand burned with a blue flame, and the man screamed for a second before falling silent. The creature dropped the man and looked at the sky. This feeling, don't tell me it's one of them, here in the mortal world. From the white clouds, two massive black claws emerged, followed by a massive body of muscles, scales, and pure darkness. No way. The abomination didn't know whether to smile or scream, seeing Arad's draconic body emerge from the sky. A void dragon. The black one, there are 10s in the city. Burn it all. No, a child is stuck under the rubble on the western side, 5 men and 2 women to the east, and several more to the north. I can't blast it all. Crush it with gravity. No, lift it to the sky, handle them one at a time with half-dragon from... No, I don't know how strong they are, better to stay as a dragon, curse them to death. Yes, curse the whole city, and then release the people. Would an expansion work? I can't pinpoint and exclude the people, so it's better not to use it here. Can I distract the monsters with animals? It probably won't work. Wait, wasn't the quest saying 1 monster? How are there so many? This isn't my target. No, it's it. The guild probably didn't have much information to work with. Should I retreat and get help? No, the people here would be dead before I came back. If they are dying anyway, I shouldn't hold back. Their lives left to fate. No, the girls probably won't agree. I must save them, or do my best. That's risky. But I can survive most attacks. That bastard is looking at me. You're reading my mind, aren't you? Arad's eyes glow purple, staring at the abomination on the ground. What even the strongest psychic could hear as mere clicks in their head when listening to Arad's thought got read easily by the abomination. Arad opened his jaw, roaring as he soared down, shaking the ground before he even landed. The abomination lifted his hands, and almost immediately 12 more of his kind showed up out of nowhere. Give us your brain, they said. Arad landed, shattering the ground and releasing a cloud of dust big enough to cover his whole body. The abominations formed a circle, watching each other back. He's a bit bigger than normal, but he's still a young one. Just watch for his void step and elemental energy, one of them said, putting his long arms in a cross shape, looking around for Arad, waiting for him to teleport. Poof! From the thick dust, a tall, black-haired woman with glowing pink eyes emerged, running toward them with a smile on her. A she? Did I miss reading the mental waves? One of the abominations gasped, turning toward the woman and pointing his hand at her. Our win, we can make more void dragons and tame them. Crack. From the ground behind them, Arad burst out in his half-dragon form, swinging his fist at one of the abomination's back, sending him flying away. Who are you? The abominations growled, not sensing a single drop of magic from Arad, that how he got past their senses. Arad pulled a sword out of nowhere and swung it, slicing one of the abomination's arm. Gemini separated Arad and Doma so they could fight against the number advantage. Doma used Virgo to get a woman's body and move more freely. Arad used Taurus to increase his physical might in exchange for his mana, allowing him to slip past the abomination without being detected. Which one is the real dragon? An abomination growled, jumping back and swinging her claw at Arad. With a smile on his face, Arad dodged her attack and swung his fist at her. A massive shockwave exploded as her head turned to mush and her body flew back, digging a trench in the ground. How can he use that much power? Another one gasped. Arad stared at the abominations, smiling as the abomination blood evaporated from his fist. One down, he pulled the nipple knife, looking with a grin. Do you have nipples? Albeit temporary. The buff to his physical might from Taurus's binding got his strength and speed to a level matching his draconic form, all the while. Doma swung her palm, curse of guts. The abominations bent forward, holding their stomachs. I once had this extremely bad stomach pain. I sealed it in a curse, and now it's a gift to you, she said. Doma could still use magic. Taurus didn't affect the body created by Gemini and Virgo for her as they were cast before it. New novel chapters are published on Furkate Chapter 634. The Dragon's Fall. Chapter 634. The Dragon's Fall. Arad lunged at the abominations. "Just what are you? I feel like you're a problem." He smiled, swinging the nipple knife at one of them. The abomination jumped back, doing a backflip even with his twisting stomach. Arad's first strike missed, but he teleported forward, latching into the abomination's face with void step, and without wasting any moment, he stabbed it over and over like a madman. The abomination growled, grabbing Arad with his hand and throwing him away. Arad landed beside the wall, staring at the knife. "No nipples, then this thing is useless." He sucked the knife back into his stomach and pulled the adamantine sword. At that moment, Arad gasped as he saw one of the abominations fly past him, crashing into the wall. His eyes looked back, seeing Doma lunging from one to another. Doma jumped at one of the abominations, barely dodging its claw strike, and pointing at its chest with her finger. Dead worm, white worms emerged from the abomination's chest, and Doma smiled, flicking her fingers explode. The worms exploded, blasting the abomination back, but the bastard healed before he could even hit the walls. External damage doesn't work. Then how about this? She spun her hands, drawing a circle in the air. Dance of devils and moon. The ground seemed to twist around her, and the sky turned back. The moon fell down, exploding into silver dust as the abominations lunged away to dodge. Arad smiled, seeing half of the abominations screaming in place as Doma tried to crush them mentally first in an illusion. He jumped forward. Doma left him 5 of the monsters to deal with, and he couldn't comply. "Kill the woman first. She's dangerous," one of the abominations screamed as he lunged toward Arad, swinging his claw. Arad slipped beneath the claw attack and swung his sword at the monster's knee, cutting his leg with one swing. The monster growled, keeping his balance as he swung his second claw, trying to catch Arad in the blink of an eye. Arad disappeared and only left a small puff of dust on the ground. Teleported? No, he's that fast. The abomination looked to the side and saw Arad land on the wall and then disappear once again as he jumped back toward him. "He's faster than what a normal young void dragon should be?" one of the abominations shouted, waving his hands and casting a spell. Arad gasped, feeling a tingle in his chest, and he started getting nauseous. But that wasn't enough to stop him. He kept flying forward, cutting one of the abomination's head with one swing. Crack! As he looked for another monster to cut, Arad got kicked at the side, but he blocked the hit, yet the impact sent him flying, breaking the wall and crashing inside the city. The abominations walked into the city from the crack left by Arad, staring at him as even more of them crawled out of the ground. "What are you?" "We never saw a young void dragon this strong, even in space spam." A massive crossbow bolt flew from the walls, and the abominations dodged it. "Another one survived," they said. On the wall, a local A-rank fighter growled as he stood beside the ballista, his severed arm bleeding through the dirty rags he tied it with. "Damn it, I missed. Those things are too fast and powerful to deal with directly." One of the abominations lifted his hand. "Die!" He charged a black ball of magic, firing it toward the adventurer at a blinding speed. "I'm dead," the adventurer gasped. "Zon!" Arad snatched the adventurer before he could get blasted into ash, teleporting with him above a building. "Don't butt in like that," Arad growled. "Use everything you can. Adventurers live and die alone." The adventurer shouted back at Arad. "Are you still green? You should have let me die and use the opening to slice them up." Arad looked back at the adventurers. That man was right. If he let him die, he could have sliced 1 or 2 of the monsters. "Your plan won't work," Arad replied. "I killed 2 and a dozen remain." He looked forward. "Look, they crawl out of the ground like cockroaches. Gemini and Virgo time already ran out, and so is my Taurus," Arad thought, clenching his fist. "What are you thinking about?" One of the abominations stared at him, standing with his back twisted, glaring with glowing blue eyes. "We want your brain. You please be cooperative and give it to us without trouble." Hundreds of abominations stood on the wall, crossing their arms as their mental energy resonated. "He's in the zone." they all said at the same time. Arad lunged forward without wasting any time, clenching a fist toward the abomination's face. The abomination dodged it by a hair. Strange. The hell? He's immensely faster than before. Crack! Arad's foot dug into the ground, shattering his boots as he twisted his upper torso, ripping his upper torso clothes as he swung a right hoot at a devastating speed with time slow active. Arad slows time by 90%, resulting in his own speed spiking by 10 times. As Arad's left hook raced toward the abomination, it crackled with energy, rushing out of Arad's veins. The first that he learned from Nina and used to evaporate Shizuke. Arad's heart rumbled like an engine as all of his blood rushed toward his muscles, pushing them to the absolute limit. The burning fist Arad was about to launch wasn't done. In that fraction of a second, he recalled his brother and how he punched Vars. Just like him, Arad tried it, pulling matter out of his stomach and putting it between his fist and the abomination, crushing it with the void to unleash a burst of energy. The abomination could only see a flash of light wash. His vision as Arad's fist approached, a beam of pure light exploded forth, evaporating the abomination and the others behind it and erasing a hole into the wall, the ground, and all the way to the mountain, where it exploded into a massive burst of fire. All the abomination shook. Isn't he a young one? Where all this power is coming from? Swash. Arad shifted his pose, swinging his left arm with the momentum. Hurry. The fucker isn't done yet. One of the abominations screamed, but his voice came late. A second punch landed, burning another horde of them and exploding at the mountain. The adventurer in the back couldn't even see Arad move, only the blasts that violated the ground itself to his eyes. Arad wasn't a human or an adventurer, just an even bigger monster than those creatures. Arad's body expanded into his draconic form in the blink of an eye, opening his jaw and unleashing a continuous stream of plasma, compressing it into a small beam and swinging his neck, ripping through the walls and abominations, leaving a trail of fire and destruction. As the abominations screamed, Arad lifted his hands. Void. Arad, stop! He paused, hearing Ayela's voice in the distance. What? Arad turned, seeing one of the abominations holding her up. Why are you here? Arad growled and lunged forward. Don't move. The abomination ripped Ayela's arm off, causing her to scream. You stop? The abomination smiled as he saw Arad pause. Don't play too much. Another abomination appeared, throwing Mira's head toward Arad. Everyone is dead except her. As Arad stared at Mira's head, the abominations surrounded him. Bah! One of the abominations gasped, falling on his butt, panting as the fire consumed half of the city and forest. Arad's draconic body lay dormant in the middle of the city. He finally fell to their dream right after unleashing his breath. The fuck is this thing? I never saw a young void dragon this powerful, or can split into two, he growled, looking around as other abominations approached him. Good work, sealing that woman, they said. Seal? Are you stupid? I only capitalized on whatever spell they used to separate themselves to keep them separate. He threw an old mummified heart to them. The bitch sealed herself before I could take her place and infiltrate the bastard's mind. This what she made of herself. The abominations inspected the heart. A cursed heart. She's sealed in it. Yeah, that I said. The abomination stood. She saved the bastard. If I got in his mind, he'll be our slave for life. For now, don't get the heart anywhere near that void dragon. I'm sure this woman would find a way to get back to him, and then our spell won't be able to keep him sleeping. We understand, but what should we do with him? They looked toward Arad. He damaged us a lot. Send him to the second colony for psychic extraction. We've put him in a nightmare. So give him something even worse to dream off. Then siphon that energy to rebuild and incubate more eggs. It's been a century since we got such a powerful energy source. The abomination stood. It's our time to rise back to our glory. He lifted his fist. Their only goal was to invade the world and make it their own. Won't people come look for him? An abomination asked. You're right. I fear such a powerful being is being supported by the gods. Take this. With a flick of his hand, Arad's body shifted back into a humanoid form. Rip his arm and throw it into the wild. The mind controls some humans and spreads the news that they perished. Humans are stupid. So their paper world would give us at least a week to hide him and rebuild our strength. As your order, as the abomination left, their commander stayed on the wall, watching as Arad got carried away. For fuck's sake, who is the real monster? We or him stupid gods, he mumbled, looking back at the destroyed city, burned forest and blasted mountain. We merely hunt for food, and this thing blasts the world like this? He jumped down from the wall, touching a flower with his massive hand. In Anadar the world isn't this beautiful. We have no flowers, no dirt or clean air, only filth and gore. He looked at the sky. Why do humans get to live in such a stunning world even though they destroy it? And why are we the ones seeking to survive being cast away? Commander, we're leaving. I'm coming, he replied, and then looked at the horizon. We'll take better care of this world than those naked apes. Come on, can't you just give us a piece? Nay, Cain growled, rocking on his chair. Suck my toes for 1,000 years, and no fucking way I'm giving you a shit. You monsters eat souls, and your victims never return to the cycle of life and death, disturbing the flow of energy. Do you know? Energy should be constant, never changing, and only change its form. But you erase it. That's why your old world turned to shit, and that's why I won't let you turn this place into an even grumpier shit. Cain closed his eyes for a second, also lifted his hand, pointing at the sky with a finger. Also, fuck you in particular. A lightning bolt fell from the sky, evaporating the abomination's commander where he stood. The idiot made the mistake of calling to the heavens. So the heavens could see him. Cain, you're swearing too much, Jemima approached him. When someone asks you a stupid question, and on top they keep splashing spit onto your face, you gotta get angry, right? You said Senna needs to handle this, so sit down and don't interfere. She gave him a cup of tea. Now relax and watch, don't cause trouble. Say what if she got harmed? I won't stand it, Cain mumbled. You see, I'm old and sensitive. My million hearts won't be able to handle it. He pretended to cry. Neither Senna nor Arad won't get a chance to learn anything if you interfere more. Let the birds learn to fly on their own. Ding, dong. The shop's door opened, ringing the bell attached to it. An old lady walked in, and Cain immediately stood, rushing to the shop. What a beautiful lady. What can I get you? He said with a smile. Oh. My, a lady, you say? The old lady blushed, and Jemima smacked Cain on the head with her broom. Stop it. You've had enough. Don't chase the hags. She growled at him, and he laughed. The source of this content is Ato, B-O, Chapter 635, Flying Toward the Scene. Chapter 635, Flying Toward the Scene. Is everyone ready? Clog said, standing beside Arad's house with a massive wagon strapped onto her back. I'll go a bit fast, so hold on. Ayla looked out of the window. We got sick bags. Go as fast as you are cold. We shouldn't waste time. Ella pulled her head back into the wagon, and everything changed. She looked back, seeing a massive room spanning ahead of her eyes. Merlin sat on a couch in the back, reading a book with a crystal ball in her left hand. And what about you? Ayla approached her. This room of yours won't collapse? As long as I keep supplying mana, this room won't collapse. Merlin looked at her with a smile and pointed toward a box of mana potions that she kept at the side. This is a modified version of Lysworth's magnificent mansion. One room is easier to keep than a whole mansion. What was that idiot thinking of wasting mana? Merlin sighed. Amber flew toward them. If he just needed a spell to conjure a place to sleep in while traveling, he could have stopped at making it one room. Flexing, probably, Alcott said as he sat in the back, drinking tea as Ginger massaged his shoulders. Whether it's wealth or money, people love to show off. I doubt he thinks like you. Ginger clenched her fist on Alcott's traps, causing him to flinch. Jack walked from the back and sat beside Alcott. It doesn't matter now, does it? He looked back at Merlin. As long as we are using the spell now and it's working, it's all good. Knowing the reason wizards create spells is important, as it might help us create stronger versions or optimized ones that don't consume as much mana. Merlin replied, like what I did by making it one room. Can you stay quiet for a while? Eris growled, sitting alone with her legs crossed, waving her hands over a pile of bones, hair, and blood. Aella tell Clogig to keep going north. You're really committed to witchcraft. Merlin looked at her with a smile. All of Erad's wedding rings returned except yours, which was on his right hand. It was smart to use that to try tracking his location. Not just that, Doma's ring is here with us, and she's with Erad, Eris said, focusing harder on the magic. I'm trying to track her as well. You're doing well, Zephyr shouted with a smile, dancing over Eris's head and cheering her up, but she only ended up annoying her more. You're the more experienced witch? Eris growled. Stop dancing over my head and locate Erad. It's common to block powerful beings from tracking someone you want to hide. Zephyr looked at Eris's face. They first block the gods from tracking them with a curse, and then block our spirits from finding them with magic. Some even go as far as to name powerful individuals and block their insight. She sighed. I can't see Erad. They are hiding him from my magic. She sat on Eris's head. With modern magic, I only heard of one wizard managing to track targets while being actively blocked by magic. Zephyr closed her eyes. Lilia, the archmage of the tower, Merlin said in the back. She's an absolute monster. Her magic is like nothing else I saw in my life. Her magic doesn't matter now, Eris replied, a gust of black smoke rising from the bones ahead of her. Something is off. I feel like Doma and Erad aren't in the same place. Amber flew to in her fairy form and sat on Ella's shoulder, looking toward the corner of the room at a pile of pillows. A little girl with pink hair sat there, playing with dolls. Can she really help? Amber sighed. The little girl turned toward her with a smile. I do, she shouted with a proud smile. Daddy here as well. She pointed at the corner where Caden sat, sharpening his blade. She'll be a better help than me. Caden looked at them. I'm but a dog trainer that's a bit skilled with the sword. I don't want to argue with that, but Alcott looked back at him. You're not so simple, first world power. I didn't ask for the title. It's a name your kind gave me, Caden replied. I can help. Callie rushed to sit beside Caden, staring at the sword as he sharpened it. It's my duty to support orphans as their patron. Callie stared at Aella and Eris. I can't interfere much, thought, she burst laughing. Can someone shut her up? Eris growled. I keep sensing that Erad is separated from Doma, and I don't like that. Caden stared at Callie. Keep quiet, let her focus, but the two are separated. She's sensing, right? Callie stared at him. We're walking into a trap. Her face shifted into a serious stare, her eyes glowing pink as she looked at Eris. Or, I guess we're flying there. She kept laughing. Caden smacked her on the head. Focus, what kind of trap? We saved Doma. Leave Erad alone. Callie looked at Caden with a smile. He's a ticking bomb to them. Aella and Eris stared at each other, sweating. Doma can handle herself better than Erad, right? We need to save him. Aella mumbled. How did they even get separated? Eris sighed. Isdis walked in. Doesn't matter. We march, save both, and sing afterward, she shouted. I wrote more songs than you can imagine. It's time for the evil to hear the drums of war. What do you think? Isdis looked at the side, seeing Nina lifting two massive weights working out. You've got more experience. I do not think, Nina replied, sweating as she was working like that for more than an hour. Show me who to kill, and I'll kill. Asking a barbarian for their ideas is a sure way to disaster. Nina is right. Alcott looked at them. It's better not to leave complicated matters to her. Ginger stared at him. Are you sure you didn't have a bit too many drinks? You know, I don't get drunk that easily, even if I drank a barrel. Alcott stared at her. Far away, a shockwave blasted in the sky as something flew at a blinding speed, shaking the villages living on the ground. They looked up. What was that? One of them gasped. Sina flew through the sky as fast as she could, heading toward where Arad was supposed to take the monster down. Reach ground zero, then start the investigation from there. Don't mess around and follow the hard evidence until you find him. She mumbled, speaking with herself. Follow current novels on Look who's there! A strange man wearing leather armor shouted, waving his hand for more people to come, a woman and a beauty at that. He laughed. It was a common occurrence, bandits rushing to destroyed cities to scavenge any leftovers. Only they knew how much wealth could be extracted from the ruins of civilization. The bandits surrounded Sina, pulling their weapons. Come, lady, what brought you here? One of them approached her, pointing the knife at her throat, but she didn't react, still looking around for Arad's tracks, probably looking for a lover or family. Another one of the bandits approached her. Don't worry, we'll give all the love and warmth you need. As he approached, he got in her line of sight, blocking her vision of the ground where she was looking for tracks. Crack! Sina waved her hand, swatting him into a slash of blood, which deflected off an invisible barrier around her body. The bandits screamed in fear as they saw her keep ignoring the rest of them, looking closely at the ground as she kept searching. This bitch, one of the bandits screamed, swinging his sword at her head. Clang! The sword clashed with the barrier, deflecting as if it hit a stone. Take this and this. He kept swinging at the back of her neck until his sword shattered, but she didn't as much as bother to notice him. Sina's eyes shifted to look like those of frogs, glowing with a sharp blue flare as she touched the dirt with her hand. Tracks have been trampled by humans. The pests, she stood, finally looking toward the bandits. Flies, you're the ones who trampled the tracks, she said with a calm voice. Finally looking at us. You, the bandit's face twisted, his skull crushed into his chest. He brailed. I see, flies indeed. Rushing to scavenge the remains of the city, she looked around. You've messed with the tracks without knowing it. She sighed. She turned and started walking away to keep searching in another part of the city, leaving the bandits confused and shaking in their boots. You! A bandit screamed, trying to run and stab Senna's back, but his legs refused to move. What? He gasped, his body frozen in place. What's this? What did you do? He looked around, seeing that everyone else was like him, unable to take a single step. No matter how much they screamed, Senna didn't even look back at them as she kept searching for tracks. Senna didn't want them interfering with the tracks anymore, so she froze them in place where she totally forgot about them. They remained standing there until they died. After an hour, Senna found traces of Arad's magic on the ground just by touching the tracks. She could see how he took a step back, shifting to swing a fist. He fought here and there as more than one dream walker. Several of them, after looking further, she found a drop of black slime on the ground. This slime looks clean. A colony must be near. She wiped the slime with her finger, pouring mana through it. I see the fight got pushed inside the city. You aren't a normal girl, are you? A bald elf monk stared at Senna from the back, lifting his hand to pray. Not a bandit or an adventurer. What are you? Grant, the Spirit King said as he stared at her. Grant, this woman is bad news. The forest spirit emerged from his back, sweating as she stared at Senna. Something is horribly off about her. She's right, let's leave. A nymph voice boomed from his chest. I don't sense a limit to her mana. Human woman, what are you? The monk took a step forward. I'm Grant, the Spirit King. You must know about me. I recently ranked 4th among the adventurers. Sina looked at him. The monk who controls a lot of spirits. Depending on the conditions, you might hold more power than the wind spirit Zephyr. Of course, since I have more spirits. He smiled. If you know that, care to explain yourself. Ask your spirits, does one of them dare to fight? Senna glared at them. Grant, let's leave. This woman is bad news. The water spirit emerged from his arm. I feel like I'm being caressed by slimy tentacles. It's creepy and gross. The spirit who could flood kingdoms says that. Grant looked at her. How much power do you think this woman has? I don't sense a limit to her mana. I can't guess. The water spirit growled. I do have infinite mana, Senna stated, staring at them. Inherited it from father. Grant laughed. Infinite mana. You must have gotten crazy. I believe you have 100 million mana, and not that it's infinite. No matter how big the sea is, it's eventually run dry. He lifted his hand, seeing how monstrous you are, and that you refuse to explain yourself to me. A staff appeared in the monk's hand. I suspect you're the one behind the destruction of the city. I hereby sentence you to death. He opened his eyes. Merge. His body flashed with light, bursting with mana as he mixed with all his spirits. From the dust he emerged, a white, doll-like creature without a face. He had 6 dragonfly-like wings emerging from his back and extremely long fingers. I'm the Spirit King, Grant, and you shall die here, he said, floating up without flapping his wings. Swash! Grant's vision blurred as his body accelerated sideways, feeling a sharp pressure on his side. With a shockwave, his body broke the sound barrier as he was blasted several kilometers away from the city, crashing into the side of a mountain. The hell was that? He gasped, lifting his head to look forward. For a split second, he could see Senna flying toward him. Crack! He got smacked again, sending him crashing onto the ground with a massive blast. Senna stood at a boulder, staring at him. You'll keep coming after me if I leave you alone. That's why I'll at least cripple you here. That acceleration, Grant growled. Time magic? Visit Markel Wordlesk for the best novel reading experience. Chapter 637, True Weakness. Was that time magic? He growled. What other annoying tricks do you have? Time magic? Ah, you think that because of the acceleration... Sina stared at him, a grin crossing her face as her eyes flared with a blue fire. She extended her arms. Let's go with broken limbs and no mana for a month. That's gotta keep you out of my way. Try if you can, Grant growled, swinging his hand and sending a crescent moon of fire toward Senna. The ground beneath his feet cracked as hundreds of roots writhed like snakes, smacking him across the mountain foot. Sina dropped her hands and more roots blocked the fire. The spirits are limited by your body. It's like a flood trying to seep through a tiny hole. With a burst, Grant jumped toward Senna, flapping his wings to accelerate even further. His vision blurred once again as he felt a powerful impact on his body, sending him flying several kilometers away and crashing into a second mountain, scaring the people living at its base. Stay put so I can cripple you without killing you. Senna stood at a tree, staring down at Grant with a passive face. You're quite annoying. That's again, Grant growled. Fine, you don't look like someone I can take lightly. A world power, I bet. He put his hands together, and the spirit's hands emerged from his chest and stomach, creating several hand signs. Spirit expansion, Court of the King. The whole area got consumed into a ball of light, and Sina found herself standing in a throne room with Grant sitting on the throne, glaring down at her as all the spirits inside his body surrounded her. You said the spirits were bottlenecked by my power. Now they aren't, Grant smiled. There are even some world powers in them. I'll enjoy watching them stop you until you beg for mercy. Your expansion looks exactly like you, reliant on borrowed power, you wimp. She looked around with a grin. Time to shut your mouth. The forest spirit growled at her. You're in the king's presence. Sina stared at her. Well, I heard it's a felony to bow to someone besides the king when he's present. So how about you bow to me? Like I would. You? The spirits' bodies started to move on their own. They slowly lowered their heads until they touched the ground, prostrating themselves in front of Senna. You? What are you doing? Does she have mind control magic? Grant stood from his throne staring into the spirits' minds. No, they weren't controlled. We can't move. Our bodies aren't responding to us, one of the spirits growled. Senna turned toward Grant. Now, let's start by breaking your legs. Like you would. He pulled a sword, but at that moment all the muscles in his legs contracted, shattering his own bones and ripping themselves off. Grant fell down, screaming in pain as Senna slowly walked toward him. Next time when a lady tells you to scram, you scram away. She lifted her hand. "Now, let's take that mana of yours." Grant could feel his heart beating louder, his chest tightening as he started feeling all the veins of his body. His body grew hotter and hotter as he could feel a searing pain rush from his fingertips into his stomach. He shouted in pain as a blue crystal burst out of his belly button. "What are you doing?" Grant glared as he saw her grab the crystal, vanishing it with the flick of a finger. "Taking your mana," Senna stared at him with a disappointed face. "I already said that, didn't I?" She looked back at the spirits. "If I was to explain it with the system, I took your maximum mana down to 1 only so you can remain alive. Don't worry, it's slowly healing, but that would take months in the worst case." "Give it back," Grant growled. "I can give it back, but I won't." Senna smiled. "It's mine now. You steal other people's mana to increase your mana's maximum limit. That's how the spirits thought your mana was infinite." Grant smiled. "Your trick is out. Once I heal, I'll come after you. Please do. That'll give me more mana to take." She giggled, turning to leave as Grant's expansion started to fade. To think such a power existed with the system, unknown to anyone, Grant sighed. Sina stopped, looking back at him. "I don't have a system." "What?" Grant gasped. "The system is for the weak to rely on. Relying on an entity that you don't even know or understand for power is a weakness. And you took it a step further by relying on spirits, an even more pathetic weakness." She started floating. "Stay put. I didn't triple the spirits as they are unreplaceable, unlike you. So I hope they can nurse you back to health." She blasted away, leaving Grant bleeding on the ground. Thud. Sina landed back in the city where Arad got kidnapped. Now that I'd dealt with the idiot, she looked around. "It seems you noticed my presence. Human woman, you reek like the heavens." A dream walker crawled out of the ground, staring at her with a sharp glare. "Do I now? Is that supposed to be a compliment or an insult?" She smiled. "In your tongue a compliment, and in ours an insult," the dreamwalker replied. "As a notable threat, we will make a special case and kill you right here and now." From behind him, hundreds of dreamwalkers crawled out of the ground, forming crosses with their hands. "Together, we're forming the dreamland." They chanted, and Sina could feel their mental energy synchronizing. They have a hive mind, each of their brains linked with the other, forming a complicated network that influences mana and releases it as waves that can affect the brains of creatures that aren't linked to the network, forcing them into an endless dream. One of you is a problem, but having hundreds could even drop a world power into an endless dream that they would never wake from. No wonder Arad got captured. She looked at them. "So what? Is it working on me?" The dream walkers started sweating. "Her brain isn't responding to the waves. It's as if it doesn't work at all." One of them growled. "Of course it won't respond. I think with my liver." Senna stared at them with a gentle smile. "And now I'm thinking with my kidneys, or how about a new organ all over? Let's call it Papulgus. She's a monster," one of the dream walkers growled. Senna lifted her hands with an innocent smile, combing her fingers with her palms reversed. She then wiggled her fingers like tentacles. "It's known as an expansion, right?" "Kill her before she activates that." All the dreamwalkers lunged at her, trying their best to reach her. Life expansion, tentacled dungeon of ecstasy and gore, updated from Erberd Chapter 638, The Eldritch Demon. Life expansion, tentacled dungeon of ecstasy and gore. Kill her. A dreamwalker screamed, "She's like him." Sina's eyes flashed blue as her hair rose up, turning into tentacles akin to writhing snakes, expanding in size to match massive towers, and started swinging from left to right. Her arms and legs turned into tentacles, rushing out toward the abomination at a blinding speed. The creatures jumped back, struggling to keep up with the countless whip-like limbs. The ground beneath the abomination feet burst, and even more tentacles emerged, swinging faster than any of them could even imagine. "My expansion is simple," Senna said, standing alone between the tentacles as all the abominations got restrained, each one of them tied from head to toe with tents of writhing tentacles. "I control life. I can shift and control the cells that form every creature, change their function, or destroy them. As she said that, one of the dreamwalkers expanded into a ball of deformed flesh and then exploded into a splash of blood. General order: multiply. I only asked the cells to multiply rapidly and fueled them with his own flesh. She stared at the other abomination. Where is Arad? Or do you want to end like that? You're an abomination like us. Why are you doing this? We can share resources and strive to live in this world together, one of the abominations replied, making one desperate attempt. You say that even though you earlier said I look like him? She smiled. You should have already guessed. The abomination body exploded, an eldritch demon like the overgod. Are you related to him? Of course. She smiled, exploding the abomination into a splash of blood. Does anyone want to answer my first question? I'll keep killing you like this until I get a reply. She waved her tentacles, squeezing them harder. Don't make me use this. She pulled one of her tentacles toward herself, making it sweat a pure, clear liquid. Aunt Gracie helped me synthesize this. Believe me, you don't want to try it. The dreamwalkers gasped. Merely hearing the name Gracie made them shiver. That's the mother of all life. Staby stab as if messing with them. Senna didn't even give them a chance to reply, and shifted her tentacles into stingers, stabbing them in the necks and injecting them with the liquid. All the abominations started twitching and giggling. Don't know, wasn't told, transported somewhere else. They mumbled as their brains melted. At least, you know, where is your colony? Senna titled her head right below, several kilometers deep. That's all I needed from you. She exploded them all and stopped her expansion, landing alone in the blood-drenched land. If you dare hurt Arad, I'll turn you all back to eggs and smash you. She disappeared 1 week ago, and far away in another colony of the Dreamwalkers, inside the main chamber. Arad got dragged toward the large metal table in the middle of the room by 4 Dreamwalkers, each of them grabbing him by a limb. Is the extraction system ready? One asked, and the other nodded, handing him a crystal helmet. Put this on him. We'll power the system with him first. They put the helmet on Arad's head as they started strapping him to the table. Crack! Arad's leg jerked, kicking one of the abominations into the wall, killing him in the blink of an eye. He's awake. The others jumped away, but soon realized that Arad was still asleep. He moved in his sleep? Sleep, myoclonus? Is he a fucking baby or something? One gasped, looking back at their dead friend. Tie him well. We don't want to void dragon sleepwalking in the middle of the colony. They strapped Arad to the table as hard as they could so he wouldn't move. Me? We arrived, Clog said as she hovered above the clouds. Are you sure it's down here? Eris looked out of the wagon's window. It's several kilometers beneath the ground, I'm sure of it. It was your decision to look for Doma first, remember that? Clog turned her head to look at the wagon. It's a collective decision, Ayla added. Swash! At that moment, Alcott lunged above their heads, falling down toward the ground. Alcott! Ayla screamed, and Clog sighed. Let him be. That's the Dragon Slayer. Wait for us. Ginger flew after him, followed by Merlin and Nina Bam. From the ground, a Dreamwalker emerged. As expected, they came to save them, he said, clenching his fist. Alcott pulled his sword and swung at the Dreamwalker. The Dreamwalker dodged and swung his fist at Alcott's side, which was blocked, but the sheer force sent Alcott flying back. They are fast and strong. Alcott shouted. I say around 40 to 50. He looked up. Nina, crush him. Merlin waved her hand. Lilia's big hand, a massive blue hand of energy, appeared, linked to her palm as she used it to grab Nina. Here you go. She threw Nina down toward the Dreamwalker, increasing her speed. Humans think they can stand against us. The Dreamwalker stared at Nina, die in a dreamland. He tried to influence her mind. She wasn't a void dragon like Arad, so he didn't need to call reinforcement to influence her mind. Nina ignored the mind control and fell straight on the Dreamwalker, stomping its head to the ground. Ginger smiled in the sky. That was a mind control spell. I feel like it's a strange mix between the sleep spell and vampire's blood seduction, but it forces the target to fall into a deep sleep and dream. Those creatures are powerful mind manipulators. Their physical strength won't be something crazy, but be careful of their spells and tricks. Merlin pulled a crystal ball out of nothing, scrying. There's a lot of them crawling from the ground. Get ready for a big fight. Merlin immediately waved her hand. Mind Zero, a spell that prevents outside stimuli from influencing the mind. Clear Ego, a spell that prevents personality changes induced by magic or toxins. This includes Taunts, Sleepless, a spell that prevents the target from falling asleep. Focus of Alarin, a spell that helps the target control their focus better. I cast mental protection spells on everyone. Since I have to keep them active, I won't be able to unleash big damaging spells, so it's up to you to do the killing. Merlin shouted as she flew away, protecting herself with a barrier. Clog landed behind them, and the girls walked out, pulling their weapons ready to fight. Read latest chapters at Dreer, only Chapter 639, A Nymph's Blessing. Chapter 639, A Nymph's Blessing. As we expected, more of you stingy people came crawling from your comfy seats. A dream walker walked out of the horde of abominations, staring straight at Alcott and Nina, his eyes panning back toward the girls. Why don't you grant us a place in the world? He stared at them, his eyes glowing blue. This feeling, Aella growled, that one isn't like the others. She pulled the string of her bow, charging a massive wind arrow. Zephyr? I know, bam! She fired the arrow toward him with a powerful surge of magic. Upon impact, the arrow exploded in a massive shockwave. How sad, my friend. Everyone gasped, seeing the dream walker standing in the back alongside the one Nina killed. Don't worry, even if we don't see the new world, the future generations will eventually. The dream walker's black hide started smoking, shifting in color to white as mana condensed on his skin. Swash, Alcott lunged forward without warning, swinging at the abomination's neck. As the sword impacted, it shattered with a powerful shockwave, and Alcott flew past the Dreamwalker. Call me Angus, the bloodslayer of the Dreamwalkers. His eyes shifted toward Eris. You smell bad. Reeking of the gods, he disappeared. Eris instinctively lifted her arms in a boxer's guard, blocking Angus's punch. She could feel the bones in her forearms crack as her body got sent back. This thing, it's faster than Erod with time slow, Eris growled, and a ball of plasma emerged in front of her forearms. Plasma beam, the ball burst into a ray of purple light racing toward Angus. Angus disappeared again. It only took him one leap to land behind Iris and dodge her beam from his hands. Two massive shadow blades emerged, crackling with unknown magic as he swung at Eris's back. Get away from her! Zephyr flew in, punching the massive beast in her fairy form, sending him flying. What was that? Angus growled as he rolled on the ground, bleeding from his mouth as he held his cheek. That was a heavy hit. His eyes quickly noticed the tiny flying creature. It was you. He glared at Zephyr. Izdis gasped, sweating, as she saw Angus standing again. What happened? He was standing far away. Why is he here? And why is Eris's arms bleeding? He was too fast for her to see, her human eyes holding her back. Everyone. Izdis pulled a drum. Get ready. She shouted as she started drumming drums of war from behind her. A spectral band emerged out of the shadows, playing with her. Aella pulled her bow strong, aiming at Angus, but then two regular dreamwalkers emerged from the ground behind her. I can't dodge, she gasped. Aella, Zephyr, teleported into Aella's body and emerged from her head, blasting the two abominations into the sky with an air burst. Don't let your guard down, Alcott. I'll taunt them, and you. Nina looked back, seeing Alcott fall on his face, asleep. She paused, stunned. He fell for their spell? Damn it, even I didn't fall for it. Merida growled, lunging forward. Nina, let's go. Let Ginger wake him up. Ginger looked at Alcott, seeing specks of light floating around his body. No, this is First Nymph's blessing. Alcott de Maurian was an ordinary adventurer at the start, but with his hard mindset and tendency to dance with the most dangerous and weirdest things in the world, he had gathered several blessings and curses that aren't even registered in his system. From the blessing he got, he has cleansed the beauty origin of 4 nymphs and gained their blessing. The latest one he got was a mind-won blessing that prevents his personality from being tampered with, unless the caster targets the nymph with him. The one before that is a simple blessing that makes him even more attractive to women, albeit that had helped him gain the attention of many powerful women. The second to first one was an immunity to all nymphs' magic and nature. He can't die or be blinded by them, and they can't seduce him. He asked for it since the first nymph he had met had scarred him badly. The first nymph he ever met and got her blessing was a cheeky, seductive nymphomaniac. Of course, being young and naive, and with how mind-bogglingly beautiful the nymph was, Alcott accepted her invitation to sleep with her. He thought it was a once-in-a-lifetime. Let's see how a nymph tastes. Unknown to him, a nymph's thirst couldn't be quelled so easily, and he had already passed out from exhaustion after 6 hours of action, which led the nymph to grant him a blessing to help him keep going. As Merida and Nina rushed toward the abominations, they could see a shadow fly past them at a blinding speed, cutting the dream walkers in the blink of an eye with a shockwave. Alcott stood behind the splashing blood, sleepwalking with a blade in his hand, his whole body crackling with the nymph's magic, fueling his body with stamina. The blessing allows Alcott to keep moving even when asleep and also grants him extra stamina by converting the mana of the blessing into that. It was first intended for him to satisfy the nymph's desires, but now he had turned into a weapon that got the fear and respect of all dragons. "Here we go again," Clog growled. "That's the restless dragon slayer the worms fear." Ginger smiled, now with his enchanted senses, "Thanks to my blood and the lycanthropy curse. He's still a formidable foe even when his eyes are closed due to being asleep." The dream walkers gasped as they saw their friends get cut into pieces. That man had gotten faster. Kill him first. Several of them lunged at Alcott as the rest tried to block Merida and Nina. Giver waved her hand, and hundreds of blood spikes emerged from the ground, impaling the abominations. "I can't use their blood. It's strange," she shouted. "Don't rely on my blood magic a lot." She pulled a staff and pointed it at the abominations. Chain lightning. A bolt of lightning crackled from her staff and jumped toward the abominations, which they easily dodged. But that left them open as Nina swung her axe, ripping them apart with Merida, who backed her, making sure to finish any abomination that survived her rage. Crackle. In the distance, Eris ran beside Angus, her body crackling with plasma as she clenched a fist, staring at him. "You're fast," she said the one who's barely keeping a kick at his knee. Angus dodged, lunging back. Tick. His leg pushed a steel wire, causing the ground beneath him to explode in a massive flare. "What?" "A trap," he gasped, rolling on the ground and landing on all 4. He then immediately saw a flash of bright light coming from between the flames. Lydia stomped forward as she swung her sword at his head. Divine Cleaver. Gah! Holy magic should be effective. Got it, Iris smiled, holy magic cracking from her shoulders. Holy Expansion, Solar Domain, new novel chapters are published on 40 training dummies. This woman, Angus growled, crossing his arms to guard, engulfing his whole body with shadows. Eris's body flashed with holy light, exploding in a massive burst of holy magic. Everyone closed their eyes, evading the blinding flash as the dreamwalkers got burned by the holy rays. Holy magic is the power of the gods. It's their element, and it carries their will. It harms devils who oppose angels. It burns the undead who defy life. It burns the vampires who terrorize the night and clear the world from everything that the heavens deem unclean. There is no way the gods would let you off the hook. Eris lunged from the expansion, seeing that Angus had covered himself in a ball of shadows to absorb the holy light. She clenched her fist. "Give me Arad back." Plasma crackled from her fingers as she plunged her open hand into the shadows, piercing all the way to Angus and grabbing him by the neck. Angus gasped, seeing her glowing red eyes staring at him from the hole. With a spark of lightning, her arm ignited beside his neck, exploding in a massive burst of plasma. Angus got blasted back, his bones still hurting from the holy magic. "I need to get some distance and heal. My shadows can't fully block her expansion. Vroom! Iris flew after him, her whole body engulfed in plasma. Death butterfly. She kicked Angus in the face, plasma jets pushing her soles forward to increase the force of her leg. As Angus got sent back, she smacked him in the face with a punch infused with a divine smite. Amber sat on a charred corpse in the back looking at the dreamwalkers surrounding her, afraid to get close. Eris could throw hands with Erod. Do you think it's wise to think of her as a lesser being? She lifted her hand. Firestorm. She fights like a vicious Dracaena. I bet Arad loves her so much, Clog smiled, sitting in place as she swung her tail left and right, smacking the dreamwalkers as if they were bugs. You can help a bit more, can't you? Jack shouted, glaring back at Clog. Rupt, long... I'm a physical fighter, but I can't fight freely here without stomping you, and my breath is extremely toxic. I can use it, but you'll all die a slow, painful death and doubt humans can live in this land for decades, she replied. You lived for hundreds of years. You must have learned a spell or two, Jack growled once again, pointing at her. I can do this, Clog smiled, her body shifting to look like a silver dragon. I can change my look. I learned it while trying to morph into a human, but I failed in achieving that. Jack then looked back. Oh, shit, traps are running out. Gotta set more. He pulled a small bag from his magic bag and rushed into the battlefield. What's that? It smells weird, Clog said, looking toward him. Black powder that I had Lydia. Bless it, Jack smiled. It's now a holy black powder. That's sacrilegious, Clog sighed. Wait until you hear about this. Jack waved his arm, firing his hook toward one of the dreamwalkers, latching onto its head. He pointed his arm cannon at the abomination's eye. You can bless molten metal like you bless water. Bam! With a single shot, he blasted the creature's head into pieces. Holy bullets, wires, and toxins, there are a lot of things you can make with a bit of creativity. An evil smile crossed his face. Lydia, Plan L, got it, she shouted. Stopped using divine smite, and instead only wounded the dreamwalkers, leading them toward Jack's traps. Caden looked out of the wagon on Clog's back with a passive face. Those are but the front-line soldiers, like how human guards amount to nothing when facing adventurers. Those don't amount much. He turned toward Callie. Can Arad win alone? Who do you think he is? Callie smiled. He'll save himself. We have to worry about Doma. She pointed down. Help them. Caden looked down, his eyes landing on Alcott, jumped from one dream walker to another, slicing and dicing them like chicken. Don't want to, he mumbled. Why? He reminds me of Chad. Alcott lunged forward, swinging his sword at one of the dream walkers, slicing his arm off in a single swing. The abomination tried to jump back, but Alcott spun after him, dicing his arm and face, then used him as a jumping pad to lung into the sky. The dream walker looked up. That's the main problem. Focus on him. Alcott stored the sword in his bag as if it was never there. He then quickly pulled a massive bone bow. Dragon bone bow? Clog gasped. That massive thing is made from the ribs of an adult dragon, and its string is woven from the webbing of our wings. I thought he sold that thing. Ginger gasped, seeing him pull a massive arrow 2 meters long and with a tip made of magic crystals. Ayla pulled her bowstring, firing several arrows at Angus to support Eris, and then looked toward Alcott. He can use bows? Bam! Alcott fired the arrow down at the abomination and pulled a second one almost immediately. Upon impact, each of them exploded in a massive burst of fire. Bam! A dreamwalker rushed forth and jumped into the sky, going behind Alcott, ready to strike him down. In the blink of an eye, Alcott stored the bow back into his bag and pulled a large eastern fan. With one swing, the air generated pushed him out of the way of the strike. As the dreamwalker's strike missed, Alcott had already stored the fan and pulled a long chain, throwing it at him and latching it to his neck. With one pull, he flew toward the dream walker and pulled a long halberd from the back, stabbing him in the chest. Fighters lack the magic of the casters. That is why most of them choose to master one weapon to its utmost limits. Alcott, on the other hand, seems to have chosen to master several weapons, but give each of them a specific use. Caden looked down. I'll deal with the Dreamwalker's king if he appears, but those are decent training dummies for them. The most up-to-date novels are published on Giret. Here, Chapter 641, The Attack at Arad's House. Chapter 641, The Attack at Arad's House. Back in Alina, Agnar Asim was walking down the snowy village, sneaking peeks around at the massive ants patrolling the forest, their footsteps sending faint vibrations through the ground. Didn't that Caden old man say the dragons won't attack again? He mumbled, walking back toward his home without looking back. The ants stopped moving, bobbing their heads around as they sensed something. They looked at the ground, immediately digging as if their lives depended on it. Agnar stumbled down as the ground shook beneath his feet. What's going on? He gasped. Everyone in the village woke up, panicking as they saw the ants freak out. Agnar pulled his wooden sword and started running back toward his house. The only thought in his mind is checking on his parents. Crack! I smell one of the gods. A massive black claw emerged from the ground, almost killing Agnar in one shot. Agnar rolled away. I only survived due to my jaguar senses. He looked at his bleeding leg. He almost got split in half. A Dreamwalker emerged from the dirt. We came to destroy the Void Dragon's nest. But what do we find? Two people smelling of the old gods. How disgusting. A monster. Agnar lifted his sword. Roar, ma, crack! With one smack, the Dreamwalker sent him flying through the streets, hitting a tree with blood gushing out of his head and face. Agnar's vision started blurring. What happened? I didn't see it. His consciousness slowly faded. Still a human brat? I see a borrowed warlock power, the Dreamwalker laughed. You aren't a threat if I kill you before you call it. What pathetic being. He then turned around. You know, I might torture your parents in front of you. That's what give us more power out of you, he giggled. Sacred blood drawing the predator. Agnar lifted his hands and the Dreamwalker could sense him dying. But something felt off about it. The Dreamwalker jumped far away back, sweating as he could feel the magic in Agnar swelling. Is he summoning her? Agnar smiled as he saw a white robe appear ahead of him, glowing with magic in the snow. Guess another time he lost consciousness from the blood loss and his wounds froze. How come that no one told me my little brother got kidnapped? Gojo lifted one finger, pointing at the Dreamwalker. I don't know what you are, but it's time to make you go extinct. A mature adult? The Dreamwalker gasped. That young had an older brother around. Mira was walking outside in the back garden, shoveling snow out of the pathway. They should have reached the city where Arad disappeared, Mira said, looking at the night sky. The ground beneath her feet cracked, flapped. Ignis, the red wormling dragon, flew toward her as fast as she could, snatching her out of the way but having her tail severed by the claw. Ignis, Mira screamed as she saw the boiling blood fall into the snow, bursting into flames. I'm fine, Ignis growled, shaking as she barely stood. You must run. That's a monster. She glared at the claw that emerged from the dirt, and then a Dreamwalker crawled out. Saved by that wormling? Dragons are always a pain, no matter the type. He stared at Mira. But I have to thank her, he giggled. I smell that young void in you. Probably should keep you alive until you give birth to that egg for us to use. Ignis opened her jaw, breathing a burst of fire toward the Dreamwalker, but he didn't even bother to dodge. Her flames were nothing to him. Thanks. It's a bit cold here, he laughed at the flimsy flame. Run. Ignis screamed at Mira, and she was about to stand and run away when a massive shadow jumped over them. A massive 3-meter-tall horned gorilla with 2 ox-like horns on his head rushed forward, latching on the 6-meter-tall Dreamwalker's head. Where did that thing come from? Mira gasped, seeing the strange monster show up out of nowhere. This smell? Ignis gasped. Sabas? The gorilla monster clenched his fist, punching the Dreamwalker in the face, drilling his head back to the ground with a massive burst, cracking Arad's house. Sebas, that old man? Mira stared at Ignis, that one of the monsters that prey on younger dragons. Ignis growled, faintly remembering the stories. Kinryu told her when he was around. Oh, oh, oh! Seba started freaking out, pounding his chest as he lunged at the Dreamwalker, violently swinging him around and ripping his flesh with inhuman violence. Tina was walking on the other side of the house when the enter thing shook. She stumbled down, falling on her knees, and Ray rushed out of the kitchen toward her. "Lady Tina, are you okay? What was that?" Tina said, looking at the twins when she noticed a massive eye staring at them from the window. "Duck." She pulled the twins by the clothes before the monster could thrust his claw through the window. "I missed." The Dreamwalker growled. This should be the entrance to his lair if the memories we read are correct. He took his hand out, looking inside. "Some humans. Do you know where the entrance to the dragon's lair is? I'll give a painless death if you answered. In the background, you can hear the Dreamwalker attacking Mira as that happened at the same time. Kleck." Tina pulled a musket from beneath her maid's skirt. "Meat? Maid's skirt?" The twins stopped. "You run and get back up. We'll hold him here." They pulled their daggers. "Hurry," and I thought I'd ask nicely. The Dreamwalker broke the wall, already healed. "Will you tell me now?" In his hand he held Seren, Tina's baby daughter. Seren. Tina screamed, the twins barely stopping her from rushing toward the monster. It was then that the Dreamwalker stopped moving as he sniffed something from Seren. "You?" He looked down. "Aw, shit," he sighed. Seren's body flashed with a golden light, reminding Tina of the time Seren hit Erad with a smite clap. The Dreamwalker's body got sent flying toward the forest as a burst of holy magic flashed from Seren's body. Seren fell to the ground, crying in pain from the fall, but the bump on her head instantly healed, and she stopped crying at once. The dying Dreamwalker growled, his body mangled on the trees. Chad. The ground in the forest exploded as Miriam got sent flying into the sky in her humanoid form. Behind her lunged a four-armed white Dreamwalker. "You're the dragon's strongest minion?" he laughed. "What took you so long to attack us?" Miriam growled. "Waited for your main force to be baited into our trap first. They all should be dead or enslaved by now." Crack! A massive red claw grabbed the white Dreamwalker, squeezing him. "Who?" He looked back, seeing a great worm-red dragon glaring at him. "The great general of the red dragons." The massive dragon replied, "The shiny ones are already flying toward your bases. You have started a war you can't win." Thud. Merimed landed on thin air, but it quickly cleared that she stood on the camouflaged hand of a massive black dragon. "What took you so long?" "We don't understand ants' language," the black dragon replied, looking toward the Dreamwalker. "Is this ugly creature one of the monsters that kidnapped our mediator?" he asked. "Don't know, probably yes. Congratulations." The black dragon laughed. "Know what happened to the last bastard who angered dragons?" "I'm sure you don't know. We killed all the gnolls and erased them from history, and now it's your kind's time." The chromatic general roared into the sky. "Find all of his kind, murder them at sight, and make an example out of them." Hundreds of chromatic dragons emerged in the sky, spreading across the world to search and destroy Dreamwalkers. "Sure, this isn't an overreaction." Gojo flew up. "Killing on their colony should be enough." It might seem strange, but I actually prayed to Tiamat and asked for her advice. I didn't do that in centuries. He looked at Gojo. She actually replied and said, "Kill them all. And she'll make it a bit easier for us to take a humanoid form." The chromatic general got his head closer to Gojo. It's actually what humans call a holy crusade in their terms for us chromatic dragons now. "I don't trust the gods," Gojo stared at him. "Neither do I," the chromatic general smiled. Why I never prayed to her before, but now she's giving us a reason to rampage, and we'll gladly take that. She isn't known to get back on her words." Updated from Urbard, Chapter 642, Shifting Scales. Chapter 642, Shifting Scales. "Gojo," Mira shouted, rushing toward Gojo as she saw him flying toward the house. "You came back?" I'm here now," he smiled. "I would have preferred if you told me that Erad got kidnapped." We tried contacting you yesterday, she replied, tilting her head. Oh, it's just that when I come help Arad, it's like him coming to help Ignis or someone else. Gojo. Miriam rushed toward him. It isn't over yet, she said, as the chromatic dragons spread into the sky to search for the Dreamwalkers. A second wave, I know. Gojo smiled. The chromatics left me to deal with it here. Those monsters seem to have multiple colonies linked together in the ethereal realm that they can manifest in the mortal world underground. He looked down, his blue eyes glowing as his hair started waving, and sparks of blue magic crackled around his body like fairy dust. From what I could suck out of their brains, Gojo lifted his hands, combing his fingers. There is a decoy colony around the city where Arad got kidnapped. There is one hosting Doma, and another where Arad is being used as a power source to power their whole kingdom. You can think of each colony as a city in a kingdom with powerful fighters and a ruling noble that varies in strength. The ground started shaking as they could feel the ants fight underground with the crawling army of the Dreamwalkers. Don't worry, those psychic monsters won't drag any of you into their dreamland as long as I'm here, he smiled. They won't be staying here long enough afterward. Void expansion. Void march. The rumbling stopped as Gojo disappeared. Miriam gasped. Hold on! All the Dreamwalkers disappeared with him. Thud. Standing in the middle of a vast snowy land, Gojo looked toward the confused army of the Dreamwalkers. I don't need to touch someone to teleport them with me with a void step now. As long as you fit in my expansion's range and that I can stain you with my magic, it'll work. He took his robe and shirt off, stretching, of course, limited by how much mana I want to waste. And how strong each of you is. That isn't an innate void dragon ability. A Dreamwalker gasped. I'm a wizard after all. I can modify my spells and expansion. Gojo cracked his neck, and as a wizard, I spend a lot of time sitting over books, so it's time to move a bit. His eyes flashed blue as he took a stance. So let's get to boxing, Prard. Clap. In the blink of an eye, he blitzed the Dreamwalker that spoke first, slapping him in the face hard enough to send him flying. I also did run out of mana teleporting us here. I can regenerate it forcefully by re-sucking it, but that would interfere with some spells that I have set at base. I rather not do that. Gojo thought as he lunged at another Dreamwalker, punching him 3 times in the face and then kicking him into the sky. Crack! Senna landed inside a large cavern. She dug all the way into the Dreamwalker's colony. A vast alien city spread in front of her eyes, countless gray bots dripping with black goo pulsed like hearts as the magic around her twisted invaders. Senna shouted, waving her hand. I'm here, come to get killed. She paused and stared at the empty place. It smells like sweat, so I don't want to get in. None replied to her or appeared, leaving her standing alone there for half a minute. I'll be angrier if you made me fight in your stench. Are you sure you don't want to come out and have an easy death? She asked once again. Her eyes told her. The Dreamwalkers were hiding inside with the whole city trapped to kill her. Wait? She gasped, extending her head forward as she stared at the city from a hole she made with her hand like an OK sign. He isn't here, you bastard. That's just a chunk of his magic. All the Dreamwalkers lunged out at once. Fuck, she noticed. A large white Dreamwalker pulled a long gun pointing at her face as he jumped toward her. Sina glared at him and his body twisted, shrinking and bleeding until he became a mere distorted fetus, falling on the ground and drowning in his own blood. The other Dreamwalkers froze in place, staring at the horrific scene. Arad isn't here, you bugs. Senna growled, her voice booming across the whole city, growing harsher and deeper as her body twisted, turning into a massive monstrosity that the Dreamwalker's brains couldn't even process her horrifying shape. For some, she looked like a massive ball of tentacles. For others, she looked like goo, and for most they only saw a writhing mass of blood and teeth, gargling blood as it dripped magic from its countless eyes. An ineffable monster, a creature so horrid their brains couldn't comprehend its existence. In the same way, people can't understand or comprehend the beauty of a nymph and end up blinded or dead Senna's eldritch form, just like her father's, made those looking at her go insane from the horror it imposes. The dream walkers started laughing in despair. They thought they had a chance. She looked like a normal human girl. But the reality was far worse than they could have ever imagined. It's one of them gasped, but before he could finish, Senna stood alone on the surface, and only a massive hole remained where their colony was. "Where is my Arad?" she growled, but soon saw someone standing behind her. "Senna, calm down." That voice sounded familiar. Her brother Gray. "Brother," she turned and he smiled. "You worried about Arad? You know something," she growled. I said, "Calm down," he smiled. "I trusted his abilities enough to let you chase him. He isn't the kind of person you should be this worried about." "And what do you know about him? That the dream walkers are having trouble sucking energy from him, and that he keeps flipping around like a baby in a cradle, messing their whole lab." Gray giggled. "Never expected my brother-in-law to be such a menace even at his current strength." Sina started to calm down. "If the dreamwalkers are here in the mortal world, that means their technology isn't advanced enough to contain a void dragon." She shifted into her humanoid form. "They intended to siphon some energy from Arad and use that power to process ores into metals, then create better tools and equipment to suck even more power of Arad. But it seems the process is harder than they expected, for one reason." Gray giggled. "Putting brother-in-law in a constant nightmare while keeping him in deep sleep caused him to develop a severe case of somnambulism. I mean, they shouldn't have tried their method on a baby. It's normal that it's going to have a side effect." "They don't know he's a baby," Sina gasped. "For all they know, he's 35 years old, young void dragon." This chapter is updated by Irendel. Chapter 643. Meltdown and Fall of the King. "His mental energy is spiking above what we can absorb," a dream walker shouted as the magic circles in front of him burned, bursting at his face. "Damn it, what's happening in that dream?" another growled, taking a peek at the nightmare they gave to Arad. "It's already been a week with him trapped in there. They did start it, but how it develops could go past their control." The moment they looked inside, they saw Arad flying across the sky, roaring in rage and despair, blasting the elvish kingdom with his breath as the elves shifted into dreamwalkers. Crack! Arad's arm jolted, ripping their chains off and shattering them in the blink of an eye, sending a shard of metal flying toward one of the dreamwalkers, almost blinding him. "Where are the casters? We need to paralyze his body again," the dreamwalker shouted, calling reinforcement. The casters lifted their hands above Arad, casting their magic while sweating black goo. "It's no use. His body already adapted to it. We can't paralyze him anymore with our spells." Arad's body jolted once again, shattering the shackles on his legs, sending shards of metal toward the casters, dropping 2 of them with grave injuries. Void crackled from his skin, sucking air in and releasing it in a shockwave, shaking the whole lab. "We should kill him," one of the dream walkers cried. "Without current equipment, we can't keep a young void dragon chained. Where is the scout team? When will they bring the dragon's sealing chains?" another cried. "They didn't find any," a voice replied from the walls. "Send more people to search." The dream walkers tending to Arad cried, "We can't contain him for longer. He's destroying the whole lab. Figure something out. You casters create a stronger paralyze spell and keep him down for a day or 2. We're short on people right now. They come here and help." As the dream walker screamed, Arad growled in the back, struggling on the metallic bed he's been chained onto for the past week. "Shit!" the dream walker cried, rushing to pull a scroll, but was interrupted by a blast emanating from Arad, messing the whole lab. Arad screamed, his whole body jolted as the struggles in the dream reached reality. Instead of sweating like most humans when struggling with a nightmare, Arad was a dragon, and his scales sweated his void out instead, sucking the air and releasing it as multiple blasts, trashing the whole lab and shaking the Dreamwalker's kingdoms. "Fuck it," a Dreamwalker cried. "I'm getting out of here. He's getting out of control." He turned to run away, but at that moment, darkness engulfed Arad's body, violently sucking air and everything in the lab into his stomach. The dream walkers held for dear life to the walls, looking back as they saw their precious equipment get pulverized into dust as it got absorbed into Arad's stomach. The wall was stripped off, and the dream walker holding into it got sucked into Arad's stomach. Like an elephant forced through a needle, his whole body burst into a splatter of blood as it disappeared into Arad's void. Call everyone. The void dragon is getting out of control and might wake up. We need to knock him out again. One of the remaining dreamwalkers screamed into a small crystal ball. The ceiling cracked from the repeated blasts and low pressure caused by Arad's void, and a massive boulder fell down, hitting Arad on the face. Arad's eyes opened up, confused between dream and reality. He instantly transformed into his draconic form. The lab got crushed by Arad's massive bulk, killing everyone inside. Being confused and now finding himself locked in what amounts to a tight jar for a human, Arad roared his lungs out, unleashing his void breath in the enclosed space. With a massive plasma burst, Angus rolled on the ground, his whole body charred into charcoal as Eris walked toward him. "Would you die already?" she growled. The whole area around them burned and was ravaged by explosion holes. "Do you never get tired?" Agnes growled as his limbs slowly crumbled. As Eris stared at him, her wounds instantly healed. "Since when do vampires get tired?" she said. "I see," Angus giggled. "I never stood a chance." He died. Iris sighed and looked back, seeing the girls were about to finish the last dreamwalkers running away. "To think I only killed one," she sighed. "I won't say one." Clog stared at her. "Several dreamwalkers died as collateral damage to your fight." She pointed to the back with her claw, and Iris could see several charred corpses where her explosions and holy expansion were released. "That white one you killed was at least 4 times stronger than the black ones. He's chosen of his race, like how high humans are to humans and high elves to elves." Clog waved her claw to the other girls. "Come here when you finish. I'll dig for us to reach the colony and save Doma." "Leave them," Caden said, standing up. "Everyone gather beneath Clog," he shouted, jumping from her head and landing behind everyone. Ginger woke Alcott, and everyone rushed to stand beneath Clog. "What's going on?" Nina asked. "Did you notice something?" Alcott stared at him. He knew Caden was powerful enough to beat Nina with one strike, making him a swordsman that even he couldn't win against their king is coming, and that big dog is for me to cut. He stood there, silently watching the ground. "I see." A loud voice rumbled from beneath the ground as a massive titan shattered the earth. "It's you." Caden blinked. "Do I know you?" "You killed Grandfather's entire kingdom just to train in the abyss." The massive titan of a dreamwalker shouted, his voice even hurting Clog's ears. "And now you come to kill my children. Those aren't children, they are monsters." Caden stared at Dreamwalker King with a passive face, right? He turned toward Kali, who stood above Clog's head. "Abomination spawn aren't children. If they were, they would be under my protection." She lifted her foot and tapped it down. "Stomp them. Squish, squish." She smiled. "They harmed a child." She stared at the king with her eyes glowing with a disturbing pink flame. Her words referred to Arad. "What's that thing?" Iris gasped. "Just by magic." Clog growled. "He's several times the red great worms I saw in my life. I doubt he's lost in strength as well." "This is the main problem about those abominations." Callie stared at Eris. "The small ones are powerful mind manipulators, but this big one is the true danger, the elder brain that all their collective consciousness flows through. His physical and mental power is equal to the combined power of all the small ones under him." She smiled. "All of that power at once. Wist, Eid, Ot, all of the Dreamwalkers combined. Won't that make have stats in the tens of thousands?" Callie scratched her head. "They are monsters from outside this world that operate with their own laws and limits. But I'm certain they aren't a part of the system. That's only for mortals to use and is managed by the Archon Arya." She smiled. "I don't know. But he's strong enough to not be something that should exist in the mortal world." "You keep talking," the Dreamwalker King growled. But soon he froze, his body splitting in half from head to groin. "Sorry," Caden looked at his drawn sword. "I only wanted to smack you away. You should have been more careful." That thing lived in the mortal world. He couldn't have more minions than the ones that lived in the abyss. Callie sighed. "We'll catch another one if we found it." Caden sheathed his sword, pulled a small cube, and threw it at the king's corpse. "I hope she'll pay a bit for the corpse. The orphans need the money. Read latest chapters at..." Clog dug all the way down to the Dreamwalkers' colony in a few minutes, landing in a massive entrance right outside it. "We arrived," she said, lowering her wing for them to walk down from the carriage. "I can feel Doma's curses from here." Merlin sighed. "She might be locked up, but she's reeking of them all the way here," she giggled. "Agree." Ginger walked forward. "I bet she's trying to get people to notice her presence." "I smell blood, human one." Eris looked at Ginger. "You do as well." "It's faint. I say they are at death door." She pointed into the western side of the city. Eris turned toward Lydia. "Let's go. Arad won't like it if we let them die. He might blame himself for not being able to blast those Dreamwalkers right away." Lydia held Eris's hand. "We'll be back, Clog. Please get ready." Eris flew with Lydia. "You're paying for this. You know we don't just carry anyone on our backs." Clog sighed, sitting in place and waiting as the rest walked into the Dreamwalker city following Doma's cursed manna. "Rear? A coom! Thud!" Eris and Lydia landed in front of a large building. The mere smell coming from there caused them to recoil, closing their noses in disgust. "This smell?" Lydia growled. "Those unholy monsters?" She swung her foot at the door, kicking it down with a holy blast. "The forces of the church are here. Please calm down." Lydia walked inside shouting, lifting her golden, glowing, holy symbol up. Inside the building, she could see tens of naked people chained like cattle to the ground. This was the breeding center where the Dreamwalkers tried to increase their batteries without needing to go out and hunt for humans. Two abominations were hiding right behind the doorframe, and they watched Lydia walk inside silently. They were the guards of the breeding center, and the moment she spoke, they both swung at her head. A golden flame engulfed Lydia's body, coming out of her holy symbol and blocking the two punches. The abominations gasped, and Lydia stared at one of them, only shifting her eye toward him with veins bulging on her forehead and neck. Dare attack a paladin holding her holy symbol fiend. She turned, pointing the holy symbol at him. The fiend gasped, his body getting pushed back toward the wall by the flames. "Come, get close." Lydia stepped toward him, and his body kept getting crushed on the wall. He couldn't get near the holy symbol burning with divine magic, and now that she kept approaching him with it, the pressure crushed his body. "Hold the holy symbol, or die." She pushed the holy symbol forward, and the Dreamwalker's body burned and burst at the wall, leaving a massive blood mark that immediately caught on fire. The second Dreamwalker ignored Lydia and decided to jump at the prisoners and try using them as a shield and hostages. "This brings back bad memories." Eris smiled, catching the Dreamwalker by the head as she floated behind him. "Isn't that right, Pin?" A small, malformed, and deformed imp emerged from an eldritch flame, wiggling as it giggled. "Yes, mistress, those sweet bloody days at Ketal's temple. The priests there used to do this to the sacrifices for fun." He took a deep breath. "What horrid, amazing days! You know, it's weird that you liked those days." Eris looked back at him. "I'm an imp created by Ketal's ideals by your mother," he giggled. "It's natural for me to find it funny." "Well, I don't," Eris sighed as the Dreamwalker turned to punch her in the face. Pin lifted his hand, and the Dreamwalker froze in place. "Bad monster," he smiled with his ugly face. "Do you know when you attack someone with their pet dog around? That poor puppy gets angry and sad, and then chews your face in a marvelous show of blood." Pin's body morphed, growing into a massive devil equal in size to the Dreamwalker, and bit his face off. "Pin is that little pet. Be careful. Pin bites." Pin smiled, talking about himself. "Is that a devil?" Lydia stared at Pin, confused. A witch and a vampire. It won't do if I don't have a familiar. I tried to summon one, but to my surprise, Pin revived and became my familiar as he was to Mother. She smiled. The people inside the room stared at Eris in fear. They were happy to see a paladin, but now someone like Eris showed up. Don't worry, Eris noticed their worries and turned toward them, pulling a holy symbol of Amaterasu from her pocket. I'm too a paladin, sort of. The symbol flashed with holy magic. She wasn't lying. Even though they found it hard to believe, it's not like they had any other choice. Belibia and Eris healed the people and guarded them all the way to Clog, where they hid inside the wagon that Merlin expanded with magic. Soon after, the rest returned with Doma's heart. We found this! It should be here! Merlin had the heart levitating with gravity magic as she didn't want to touch it. That old mummified thing dripped with cursed mana like it was the end of the world. Lydia gasped as she stared at the heart. I didn't expect it to be that much. Me too. Merlin looked at the heart. It contains Doma's soul. She should inhabit the body of whoever eats the heart. What? Clog gasped. Why eat? Eris looked at Doma's heart. Anyone would die of the curses before even licking it. And like how? Cut it to pieces and grill it, Lydia sighed. Arid could probably swallow it whole. Ayla said, I saw him slurp a giant cobra like it's nothing in his draconic form. Arid doesn't chew eggs. Isdis looked at them. I doubt he even cares if they were peeled or not. I saw him swallow them one after another like they were peas or olives. Eris smiled. I mean, he's huge. She turned and started walking back toward the city. You get out and wait for me far away. I'll come quickly. Be careful. Ayla waved her hand, rushing with everyone to ride on Clog's back. Clog clawed her walk out of the colony, reaching the surface and flying away. Eris stood alone in the middle of the colony, staring at the ceiling. Tens of dreamwalkers that were hiding emerged from the shadows, lunging toward her. Iris lifted her hands, putting them together. It's the end. Lightning and fire crackled from her body as plasma gushed out of her. Plasma expansion. Purple sun, Eris's body flashed with a blinding light, washing the dreamwalkers away as the purple sun emerged in the middle of the colony, melting the place. Burst. The purple sun exploded, wiping the whole colony. Clog looked back, seeing the earth crumble as the colony got blasted beneath it. It's better not to leave anything. She looked around for Eris, but suddenly felt a sharp pressure coming from the horizon. This magic. She looked, seeing a bright flash in the distance, followed by a massive mushroom of smoke and fire. It's Arad. Read latest chapters at T-Resp. Arad roared, smacking his claw down at a running dreamwalker, crushing him flat on the ground. The cavern around him started crumbling from his previous breath, but that didn't even bother him. Several dreamwalkers rushed toward him, this time armed to the teeth. Kill him, they screamed. Fighting a void dragon in the heart of their colony is something none of them want. It's where they live, where their families live, and where the critical infrastructure for their crumbling civilization is. Arad opened his jaw, unleashing a massive stream of fire at them. Two walked forward and laid two massive shields, cut him down. They screamed as their shields heated before they could strike. Arad teleported behind them with a void step, and a massive electric shock exploded from his body, zapping and charring all of them in the blink of an eye. Right after the electric shock, a burst of fire exploded from Arad's body, followed by a gust of freezing wind. The extreme and rapid shift in temperature shattered the rocks of the cavern, causing it to collapse at once, burying the whole colony even though it was already shocked, burned, and frozen from its magic. Buried alive, Arad didn't care, like a raging kid. He couldn't even see ahead of him or think properly. As if crying and flailing his arms in a blind rage, Arad roared, unleashing all of his magic left and right. Fueled by the sorrow of everyone's deaths, void expansion, devouring void, the whole area got consumed into Arad's stomach as he used that to dig himself out, flying toward the surface, roaring his lungs out from the walls of the hole he made. 5 white dreamwalkers lunged at him, swinging massive spectral swords. Since Arad's became unstable, They had evacuated the entire colony to a small cavern a kilometer away. The colony that Arad erased only had the lab dreamwalkers and their personal guards. Arad's eyes cracked, dripping red as they glared at the dreamwalkers. If there is a creature that he loathes to the bone, it's those cockroaches, just knowing some of them are alive out there, while his wives have been viciously murdered by them, made his blood boil. He could only see them red, tainted in blood as rage blinded his mind at that moment. Only two things existed in the world for him. It's himself and the dreamwalkers that he should be killing. Arad opened his jaw, collecting matter from his stomach and crushing it by removing the void from its atoms, releasing a massive beam out of his throat of pure energy, evaporating one of the dreamwalkers in the blink of an eye. The beam hit a nearby mountain, cutting the tip off and causing a massive landslide of rocks and dirt. The small village at the mountain's foot managed to escape in the nick of time, only sustaining damage to structures and property. But they were terrified to the bone as they saw a second beam come out, blasting a raving across the forest and unleashing a hellish fire across the lands. When mages fire spells in wars and bow the ground up, they don't even see or notice the ants and bugs living there. Arad was the same for now. He couldn't even see or notice the humans living around. He probably even forgot that humans even existed. Void dragons are neutral by nature. Drive them made and they'll swing more toward the chromatic dragons, and treat them nicely, and they'll respect you and your life like the metallic do. The remaining dreamwalkers gasped, seeing another one of them evaporate with a breath. Only 3 of them were left. "I thought he cared about the humans living around," one cried. "This bastard is out of fucking control." One jumped forward. "We have to buy time until the queen arrives. Where there is a king, there is a queen." Arad's body flashed with a purple haze of gravity magic as the ground around him shattered. Hundreds of house-sized boulders flew and started orbiting his body as he flew into the sky. With each spin, they gained heat, burning like meteors. And without wasting any moment, Arad released them like burning comets at the dreamwalkers. "Fuck, run." They turned around, running to the sides to evade the meteors, but to their surprise, they kept following them. Still controls them with gravity. Blood droplets emerged on Arad's tail, shifting into the upper torsos of vampire spawns. They glared at the dreamwalkers, their eyes flashing green. One of the dreamwalkers noticed and hid behind a boulder while the other 2 got petrified, dying to the meteors immediately. But Arad wasn't taking any chances and burned where they died with another massive breath. The dreamwalker looked from above the boulder, seeing Arad growling as more meteors flew toward his location, burning like the sun. "I'm dead," he cried. Crackle! A massive white hand burst from the ground, blocking Arad's meteors and shielding the dreamwalker. "My queen," he cried as a massive dreamwalker emerged from the ground, putting its arm between Arad and the white dreamwalker. "You killed enough of my children, void monster," the queen growled, her eyes glowing with a menacing blue fire. Just like the king, her power increases by how many dream walkers are under her. Arad roared, lifting his claw and pulling it back. The dream walker's body experienced heavy pressure, pulling him toward Arad. He smacked into the boulder he hid behind, shattering it and flying toward Arad. The queen managed to catch the dream walker by the hand, but his arm ripped off from the massive pull force of Arad's gravity magic, and he ended up in Arad's jaw. Arad didn't bother to chew or swallow the dreamwalker, instead charged an energy breath and blasted the ashes back at the queen's face. The queen gasped, her face half-burned and healing as she stared at Arad roar in place, the black void gushing out of his scales, disintegrating the matter around him and sucking it as energy to fuel his breaths. Should have lied quietly in there. The queen walked forward. "Time to break all of your bones and put you back in to give us the energy to fix what you destroyed." Arad's body burned with magic as he grew 2 extra horns, a second pair of wings, another tail, and a pair of arms. The curses in his body boiled as another pair of eyes emerged beneath his draconic purple eyes, one were yellow from his wormwolf and the other red from his vampiric side. Follow current novels on Wormward, Chapter 646, The Dragon of Revenge and Destruction. Chapter 646, the dragon of revenge and destruction. What a monster, the queen giggled. To think I'll see a void dragon tainted by vampirism and lycanthropy. She took a step forward. No wonder. Crack. Arad disappeared from her vision, teleporting to her face with void step. His punch stopped at her face without moving her an inch. Look at the disrespect. Won't even let me finish speaking. She swung her fist, punching Arad so hard his whole body flew back with a splash of blood, smacking at the hole's walls with many broken bones. Thanks to my rule, I far outclassed the living in strength and speed. She smiled, opening the closed fist she punched Arad with. You can't beat me. Arad fell off the wall, landing on his legs as his wounds healed instantly. His eyes flashed purple as he rushed forward, running like a wild cat. As he got closer to the queen, he started teleporting from left to right. Don't know when to give up, the queen smiled, lifting her arms in a guard. Let's take you seriously and see what can you do. At the last moment, Arad directly teleported behind her head. The queen lifted her left arm with a grin, about to block Arad's strike. As Arad swung the back of his right fist toward her ear, he cast multiple spells in an attempt to amplify the strength of his strikes. Those weren't conventional buffing spells. He knew none but were applications of his void and magic that he thought would help. Hit her with something fast and heavy. Kinetic energy is directly proportional to the mass of the object and to the square of its velocity. E1 equals 1/2 m times v squared, time slow. 90% this spell slowed time, increasing Arad's fist speed tenfold. Gravity magic. The most he could do at that moment was quadruple the weight of his fist. He used his void to erase all air between his fist and Queen's head, pulling his strike toward her face even faster at almost double the speed. The matter absorbed was used to even further accelerate the fist by re-releasing it from the other side of his fist. E2, the 1/2 m4 s gray, Pir equals 1600, sixt sextans m equals v crets m thrates rild, equals 1600 times E1. Upon impact, the queen instantly knew this punch wasn't like the last as her bones rattled and her head jolted. The bones of her jaw cracked as her whole body got flung aside, blood gushing out of her mouth as Arad's arm exploded from the massive pressure on it. Her body smacked on the hole's wall. Confused, she looked forward, seeing Arad lunging at her, his arm regenerating in the blink of an eye as he swung one again. Wait. She lifted her arms in a boxer's guard to block Arad's second punch. The air around them exploded upon impact, sending a massive shockwave as the queen's arms cracked and her body bounced off the hole's wall. She didn't waste any time turning to run away. How? Arad's head jolted, turning back with a beam of light forming between his teeth. The compressed beam of energy cut the queen's way, the crack it left exploding in a hellish blaze. I should be hundreds of times stronger than him. She gasped, turning toward Arad. Die from her massive maw. A wave of magic gushed forth. Zon, Arad teleported behind her. He didn't even wait to see what those waves do, just ignored them as they wouldn't even hit him and clenched his forearms. Action surge. Arad's first punch hit the queen's face, sending her flying. In that short moment, he teleported into her way and delivered the second punch. He repeated that 4 times until all of his arms were destroyed, bouncing her around like a pinball. The queen could barely stand, staring at Arad with a grin on her face. I can see it. Your regeneration has stopped, by any chance, did run out of blood to heal. Droplets of blood started gushing out of the dirt, rushing toward Arad's scales, and his arms healed in the blink of an eye. You. She gasped, her mental energy finally picking up the screams of her people. Tens of vampire spawns were massacring her children. She worked so hard to evacuate from the city before Arad went out of control. Rared manned. Bastard thought this far ahead, but she quickly gasped. The thoughts leaking from Arad's head weren't what she thought. He wasn't planning for anything. He only sent the spawns to murder her children till the last one of them. Getting blood to heal was merely a convenient coincidence. He didn't even know whether he could heal with their blood or not. There was once a stay-at-home red Dracaena mom who, in a fit of rage, wiped the floor with the chromatic dragon king, thought of as invincible at the time. then went to hell and killed the first chromatic dragon goddess Tiamat. The queen's eyes started jolting around, looking for escape. Am I facing such an anomaly? Void expansion, devouring void, for a split second. Arad activated his expansion and then compressed it down to only coat his body, turning his scales into the purest darkness, not reflecting even a slither of light. The ground around him started disintegrating, and the wind got sucked into his body with an unimaginable force, assisted by his gravity magic. The queen started getting pulled toward him as the ground beneath her feet cracked. Without much traction, even her insane strength wouldn't help her get away from Arad. He's sucking matter into his body. Is he preparing a large breath like those of before? The queen gasped, trying to grab onto the ground with her claws but failing. Suddenly the pull stopped, and Arad lunged at her. She gasped, turning around, and he latched onto her upper torso. Arad's hind claws dug into the queen's chest as he used his lower two arms to hold her arms open and his upper ones to force her mouth wide open, where he started breathing a constant stream of black steam and ash. The queen struggled, but Arad used time slow to give himself 10 times the time to fire. The black smoke turned into a pure stream of semi-transparent plasma, and then a tiny speck of light fell from his mouth down the queen's throat. He jammed her jaw shut, holding her in place as whatever he dropped inside her exploded. White Nova, it wasn't as strong as the one the goddess sent at him before, but whatever he managed to complete together wasn't anything to scuff at. A quarter of the energy that blasted Vlad's kingdom was spat into the queen's throat, blasting her and the immediate area into a hellish explosion of raw heat and destruction reaching the upper clouds. Out of the molten ground, Arad swam out, his scales healing as they got burned by his own fire. A deep growl as loud as a roar escaped his throat. His rage wasn't quelled, and he couldn't help but look around, searching for more of those monsters to kill. It's been like this for the past week for him, since they killed everyone he knows, and it won't change any time soon. Arad isn't even aware that he was put into a nightmare and woke up. To him, everyone really died, and he's now alone in the world with the sole purpose of killing all the dreamwalkers and those who try to stop him. "Arad!" Senna shouted, finally arriving at his location. She had to transform into her reel for to be able to fly fast enough, but even with that she seemed to have been late. Arad had already killed the queen. Arad's head turned toward the voice, his eyes and sensing unable to recognize the ineffable creature standing ahead of him, and his mind immediately shifted to killing it. Sina gasped as she sensed Arad's endless bloodlust washing her whole body. Wait before she could finish. Arad punched her across the land, his arm exploding from the impact. This chapter is updated by Rippy. Chapter 647, Finally Calmed Down. Chapter 647, Finally Calmed Down. Sina gasped, her body getting flung back, and was barely able to breathe. Arad hit her right in the middle of her core. This power, she gasped, using her countless tentacles to stop herself from flying too far, and then looked toward Arad, seeing his arm regenerate. The bones grew first, then got covered with muscles and veins, and finally protected by abyssal black scales. "Stop attacking," she screamed. "What's gotten into your head?" Arad roared, and everything around him shook, cracking and crumbling as he sucked matter into his stomach, disintegrating it to fuel his breath. Arad wasn't listening while drowning in rage, and once his mind had made the decision to kill something, it shut all unnecessary functions and focused on achieving that goal. The moment Arad saw her and couldn't recognize her at first, it was all over. His mind put her on his list, and she isn't getting off it with words alone. Sina could see the light going up Arad's throat as the breath was about to be released. "I said stop it," she screamed, and Arad unleashed his energy breath toward her. Sina gathered a bunch of her tentacles together like an arm and was about to block the breath. Such a thing shouldn't be hard with her power. Zon Arad teleported right behind her before the breath could even reach her and punched her back, pushing her face into the breath and preventing her from even blocking it. Sina's body flew through the entire of Arad's breath before hitting the wall on the other side, confused. Even with Void Step, he shouldn't have outrun his breath. Was it time slow? That must be it. Arad's body started violently sucking matter into his stomach, charging another Ho-White Nova. Unlike the Queen, this new foe didn't seem to take any damage from his breath and punches, so that was his only hope of damaging it. "You can fire that multiple times," Sina gasped. She noticed that the Ho-White Nova he used to kill the Queen was barely a quarter of the power of the one the goddess sent before, but just him being able to condense that much power was terrifying. To her Arad was like a violent kid throwing a tantrum and trying to hit her. His attacks could barely do any damage, but they were annoying, and now that kid had picked a large firecracker and intended to throw it at her. She wouldn't die or sustain major injuries if she protected her vital organs, but that thing would hurt. "You killed the Queen?" A deep voice came from the surface at the hole's edge, and both Arad and Senna stopped moving. They looked up, seeing Caden glaring down at them, and without weakening her, an impressive feat for a mortal. "You," Arad growled. "Everyone died, and you did nothing." Arad's bloodlust shot through the roof, rising to levels even higher than what Senna felt. "I don't know what you're talking about." Caden pulled his blade. "But if you want to fight, be my guest." "Caden, stop it," Senna shouted at him. "He's just confused." Arad looked at Senna. "So you're working with this monster," he growled, thinking that Caden was working with the unknown monster, Senna, who worked with the Dreamwalkers. "I'll the both of you," he roared. "You face two—" Caden smiled. "Did killing the Queen get over your head?" Arad split into two identical vampiric wormwolf dragons and caused both Senna and Caden to pause for a moment, staring at him, dumbfounded. Gemini still works, and now they have two angry Arads to deal with. The two Arads roared, "Void expansion or Arad," Eris shouted, and Arad immediately stopped his void expansion and teleported, snatching her from behind Caden and flying away at top speed. Now he runs away? Caden sighed, seeing the two dragons flying away. Arad. "What's going on?" Eris cried, being held in his claw. "You're alive? Was it vampiric?" "No. It doesn't matter as long as you survive," Arad said with a relieved sigh. "Killing those two can wait. I'll get you to safety first." The second Arad turned around, unleashing a massive energy breath toward Caden and Senna. All the energy he stored to fire a second Ho-White Nova was used in that breath, simply because he didn't know how would Eris react to the impact of the blast, or if her regeneration would keep up with the immense heat. Cling! Arad's breath got split in half as Caden appeared, latched onto his nose. "Calm down, Arad. No one died," Caden said, staring at Arad's eye. "You'll die soon." Arad teleported away, and his clone rushed toward the falling Caden. "Nobody died that you care about." The clone roared, swinging a claw at Caden at full force. "I see," Caden said, his eyes burning red. "As Senna said, I need to catch you first so you can listen to us." Black flame engulfed Caden's body. "Then be the first in 3,000 years to see this. From the flames, a six-armed demon with 3 heads and a reddish-gray body lunged at Arad. Caden dodged Arad's strike by leaping over him and then clenched a fist. "This will hurt. Crack!" He punched Arad's clone in the head, sending him crashing to the ground. The clone disappeared from the impact, and Caden stared at the flying Arad on the horizon. "You aren't getting away." Arad looked back, seeing Caden's demonic form growing into a massive titan, reaching with his hand toward him. "Ridge, just what are you?" Arad growled as Caden caught him in his hand like catching a small lizard. "No one died." "I'm talking about your wives," Caden growled. "It was all a dream made by those dream walkers. So calm down." Arad froze for a moment, blinking twice, then looked at Eris in his hand. "I was trying to tell you that, but you weren't listening to me. No one died?" "Not a single one," Eris sighed. "They are all fine. Look there." She pointed toward the distance. When Arad looked, he saw the girls standing on top of Clog's head as she flew toward him. It was all a dream. Arad looked around. "It was so long it seemed real. What did they show you even?" Eris sighed, finally relaxing. Those monsters killed all of you, and I've been killing them for the past half-year, looked at the sky, yawning. Dreams seem longer than they actually take, especially those made by the dream walkers. He smiled, putting Arad down and shifting back into his humanoid form. I'm glad, Arad mumbled, falling face first, unconscious Arad. Iris screamed. Don't worry, the exhaustion finally caught on to him now that he relaxed. I bet it was mentally taxing for him to suffer for that long. He'll wake up soon. Caden sheathed his sword, and Eris stared at him. You didn't answer Arad's question. What are you? A dog trainer by profession tricked by A with and became a demon, and then became a bandit. After several events, I ended up getting blessed by Asura, the demon god of destruction. Caden smiled. The bastard ended up killed by Talos as he was granting his strength to his daughter Callie. So I killed Talos and started raising Callie on my own. So you can call me the demon lord of destruction. What nonsense are you mumbling about? That form was a titan. Eris looked back as Cloug landed. It wasn't a titan, Caden mumbled. How is Arad? Aella and the girls jumped from Cloug's back, rushing toward Arad. But before they could reach him, his body burst into the void, compressing into an egg-shaped mass of infinite darkness, the size of a small house. What's happening? Aella stared at him, and Senna landed behind Caden. Probably. He's evolving. Dreamwalkers might not grant experience as they are outsiders to the world, but the souls of the people they consumed remain inside them, and Arad seemed to have consumed all of it and a lot from the queen herself. She sat on the ground. He'll be fine. And I hope he gets some nice dreams this time. Visit Rear Look for the best novel reading experience, Chapter 648, The Perfect Being. Ella walked toward the void ball that Arad was inside. This is unlike any evolution he had before. She looked and saw that the egg-shaped thing was floating mid-air, not releasing a single drop of mana. All energy was directed toward Arad's evolution. She touched the egg, finding it as smooth as glass and too slippery that she might be drenched in oil. But after a close inspection, Aella noticed that her hand wasn't actually touching the egg. It stopped just before reaching the surface, blocked by a void barrier that prevents any matter from reaching the egg. I can't touch it. She tried pushing the egg but couldn't move it an inch. That thing was stuck in place. Let me try. We can't leave him here. Clog extended her claw and grabbed the egg that fit in her palm like how a chicken egg fits in a human hand. I can't, Clog growled, using all of her might to move the egg, but unable to, her whole body got pulled toward the egg by the might of her arms and still couldn't shift it a hair strand. Callie jumped from Clog's head and landed on the egg, staring down. Location locked and protected by void magic so it won't be damaged or moved, a protective measure. Her eyes flashed repeatedly with a pink light. If you tried to move it forcefully, you might hurt Arad inside. Caden grabbed Callie by her side and took him off Arad's egg. Don't stand on him. He put her down and touched the egg, trying to push it. Yeah, any more force and I'll end up breaking it, he sighed. Would Gojo be able to move him? Alcott asked, looking at the egg. They are brothers. He might know something. Caden stood still, his 6 eyes spazzing and glowing with a crimson light. Found him. He's in the Arctic North fighting some dream walkers. Caden then gasped, He killed my demon. I'll be back in a second. He disappeared and returned almost immediately with a confused Gojo. Where am I? Gojo looked around, confused, as the scene changed in front of him so fast he barely noticed. Gojo! Aella gasped. She knew Gojo was far stronger than Arad, and for Caden to just bring him in such a short time. It's you? Gojo looked around, seeing everyone staring. A moment, please. With one weave of his hand, a large robe covered his topless body. I've been in a bit of a fight. He then looked back toward Caden. So, I don't sense any malevolent intent from you, albeit you're strong enough to pull me all the way here. With a grin on his face, he looked back at Arad's egg. I guess this is the reason. I thought you'd be more angry about being snatched like this. Callie stared at him. Gojo giggled. I'm not a fool to start a fight with someone who pulled me like that. He glared at Callie, and especially you, so you know me, found several ancient tables, speaking of you. But shouldn't you be a grown woman by now? He stared at her, thinking and holding his chin with a lifted eyebrow. I patron orphans now, so I stay like this. It's a more important rule in my opinion. She stood proudly, grow to my adult form when I'm tending to my other profession. Ilag or Tamar Hakai, it was written in multiple languages, but I never found an accurate translation. Destruction I took after my father Asura. She pointed toward Arad's egg, enough mental speech. You can move him, can't you? Gojo approached the egg. I'm the one who made this. Moving him won't be a problem. You made it? Eris approached. When? When we were in the capital. Arad asked me how to make his evolution quicker, so I told him about this and gave him one. He pushed the egg and it moved. You can say I'm incubating him in my void to provide a more suitable environment for him to evolve. Then how do you evolve? Isdis stared at him. I prepare my environment beforehand. It takes a lot of work and resources to make. It's faster and more cost-effective for Arad to have me help him for free. He flew with the egg, transforming into his draconic form. I'll go first. Follow me at your own pace. He was about to leave, but then looked at Cadian. Wait, what happened to the Dreamwalkers I was fighting? My demons held them back, and a white great worm already arrived at the location and killed them. The chromatic dragons have started a crusade against the Dreamwalkers, Caden replied. I know about that. And where are the metallic dragons? They were supposed to be here. Gojo looked around. Arad almost killed all the humans living around here in his rage. They are saving those people, so he won't be dealing with a crime after waking up, Callie replied. I did diverge them a bit as well. She giggled. I see Gojo flew away with Arad's egg, heading toward Alina. We should get back as well, Ayala sighed, looking at the rest of the girls. It'll take some time, but we'll be there soon. She then turned toward Senna, who stood in the back. How did you get here? I flew here, Senna replied, looking away. You could do that? Ayala lifted an eyebrow, turning toward Merlin. I'll run out of mana before flying a tenth of the distance to here. Me too, Amber added, looking at Senna with a suspicious glare. I feel something off about your mana. It's quite large. Senna smiled, lifting her hands up, and they shifted into massive black crow-like wings. I do shapeshift into different creatures to fly while consuming minimal mana. A lie. She flapped her new wings, flying into the sky. What a load of crap, Merlin mumbled, looking right through Senna's lie. I'm sure she's hiding something even more powerful than just shapeshifting. She sighed, flying to Clog's back. As Senna flew back toward Alina, she thought, the ultimate being embodies the powers of each and every living thing. All lives gather as one. Her body shifted once again into a transparent dragon, flying through the sky at an unimaginable speed. I grant life and take it away, forcing the very essence of it to bend to my will. I'm all creatures, and not any of them at the same time, the perfect life form. This chapter is updated by https://chapter 649 in Sena's office, a guest from the Hells. Sena landed straight at the door of the roofs of the forest. With one hand, she opened the front door and walked in. I'm back, Master Sena. A woman rushed toward the door. Where have you been? Taking care of some personal matters? Didn't I leave you a letter? Sena stared at her. Letter? Where did you leave it? The girl tilted her head. Celica? It's in my office. Sena sighed. And I have the keys. Sorry. Please remember to leave it somewhere else. This isn't the first time, Celica pouted, staring at her, slightly annoyed. Don't blame me for this. She pointed back at a massive stack of papers. What in the Sena walked toward the table and looked at the papers. Damage funds? What damage? Did an earthquake hit Alina or something? She scratched her head. Listen, some large scary monsters crawled out of the ground and wreaked havoc. They eventually disappeared, but not before they dug massive holes in the ground. Some caused houses that we sold under warranty to collapse. Celica waved her hands, trying to show how big the monsters were. She then approached Senna, whispering in her ear. Apparently, they wrecked the garden and side wall of that adventurer, Arad. I personally checked and made arrangements with his wife, Mira, outside the protocol. She gave her a thumb up. She looked against it, but we can't let someone like him find his house destroyed and get angry at us. I see. Senna stared at the papers. I'll be in my office to review the papers. Bring me a cup of tea or anything to drink. Make a decision. Celica stared at her, confused. Anything to sip on while working that isn't water. Senna stared at her. Vinegar or beer. Another joke, and I'll hang you on the tree in the garden. Senna glared back at her, and Celica ran toward the kitchen. She's angry. Seeing Celica run away, Senna sighed, walked toward her office, and opened the door by transforming her finger into a bone key. Probably shouldn't press her too much about it. This place is undamaged after all. She sat on her chair and laid the stack of papers ahead of her. The paper on top of the stack was labeled Lisworth's Garden. As if, she lifted the paper up. What do you want? Is that a way to speak to your dad? The words on the paper formed a face. I just wanted to check on you. Check on what? You could have at least prevented the attack on Alina, she growled. I'm too old to do it, and isn't good to have the young ones take care of it? Kane laughed. Pay it in God is far better than people's lives. Kane smiled. You left the city unprotected, even though it had things you consider valuable. Celica could only protect your office. But what about the streets? The city, the people you hold dear. You left those unprotected. You are here. And Aunt Jemima as well? Senna glared at the paper. Even Auntie Lily. And don't tell me Grandma Zelaria or Morena aren't close by. Morena and Zelaria are in the back room playing chess, and I'm now drinking tea with my father, he giggled. Grandpa Chad is here as well. Then why did you let the attack happen? She growled. The face on the paper twisted and changed. Sena, Chad spoke. You're a grown woman. Deal with your problems on your own. Learn to take responsibility. Sena stared at the paper silently. Next time, don't forget to leave defenses. Kane is trying to teach you and that brat Arad how to think well. You're right? Sena looked down. Sorry, I'll do better next time. That's good, Chad nodded. But we did make sure no one died. He smiled. Suffering monetary losses can be endured with ease, especially for someone like you. But lost lives won't return. You know that better than anyone, except Gracie. Us being able to control life doesn't mean we understand the worth of life better. We might even see it less than others, Senna mumbled. Words are but a means to exchange meaning. As long as you understand what I mean, it doesn't matter if the sentence itself is correct or not. Chad replied. The paper shifted back to Kane. Sena, Arad is the same as you. This world is cruel, and we don't want him to end up making a mistake that he can't fix. Is why you let him get caught by the Dream Walkers, just so he can see everyone get killed. She gasped, yes. Yes, a dragon's biggest fear is losing their loved one. That is the true reason they seek strong partners. Scholars might say it's so their children get born strong and make the draconic race stronger, pushing selective evolution toward strength and nothing else. But I'll tell you, all of that is a load of crap. Dragons are greedy, narcissistic, self-centered, prideful, and haughty elemental lizards with wings. They don't care about their race or anything else. But if a dragon is to love another dragon and take them as a partner, that partner better be strong enough not to get killed while the other partner is out. If we didn't get to him, he would have kept rampaging until either he died or killed all of the Dreamwalkers in the world. Senna mumbled. Sophia, the second Tiamat. Alice, the queen of Hell Asmodeus. Selena, the God-Eater. Maharaja Gracie, the Death. All of them suffered what happened to Arad, but in their case it was a reality and not a dream. Kane sighed. I don't want Arad to end up like them. He won't destroy the world with you around. Senna glared at the paper. I'm an observer of his growth. Nothing more so. Don't rely on me, and instead make sure both you and Arad are up to par and face the world with caution. If he were to destroy the world and kill everyone, I'll not stop him," he stated. "Arad isn't a monster. He won't destroy the world even if he could." Senna glared back at the paper. "Don't test a dragon's patience, for me at least. The metallic dragon's endeavor is a pipe dream, and the chromatic's view on the world is closer to truth." Click. The office's door opened, and Celica walked in with a teapot and 2 glasses. "We have a guest?" Senna stared at her. "Or is that for you?" "I would have wished it was for me, but we do indeed have a guest." She put the teapot and cups on the table and turned toward the wall. A blazing portal emerged, and from it, a devil in a suit walked out. "Landlord, lady and mistress of the living and alive, Barony Aloni, a humble devil of the 2nd layer of hell at your service." He bowed gently, waving his hand. "What would a devil want from me?" Senna glared at him. "I'm sure," I said. "I'll kill any one of you that comes here after that last fool." Aloni shook his hands. "Not a bit. I'm not here for trouble at all. I'm only to deliver this." He pulled a scroll and handed it to Celica, who passed it to Senna. "This is a contract." She scratched her head. "So you're here to collect a debt from who?" "Sadly, my client is already dead." The devil shook his head. "I can't bring them to life if that's what you're after?" She then stared at the contract. "But since the contract didn't burn, I guess you can still collect it." "My client did account for her own death and made it possible for me to collect the payment from her daughter. The two signed the contract 18 years ago." The devil smiled. "It's but a small payment, and I only ask the contract to be delivered to her so she can be notified to pay in the urgent future." "I can read the contract." "Do as you wish." Sina opened the scroll and gasped. "Roberta?" "Yes." The devil nodded. "But how could she AWW?" Sina growled, scratching her head as she realized she's 21 years old. That means she was only 3 years old when her mother made her sign the contract. And I don't have the right to burn this thing. "Worry not, Lady Sina." The devil lifted one finger, stating with enthusiasm and a large smile, "I do not seek money, servitude, or her soul. I'm not such a pathetic fool." Clack! He took a step forward, standing with his arm raised up, and he then slowly lowered it, pointing at the wall. "I only seek her mother's goal. Isdis Lior Ruris and Roberta's father, my client's husband. Their heads on the ground must roll. Their souls in the wasteland of the abyss must stroll. Fed on by the demons, they must be their stool." The devil smiled, flicking his fingers, and a fiery portal appeared behind him. "Leave that copy to the lady. I shall be in my house in the hells, waiting for my payment to roll, or else it's all for the ghouls." He moonwalked backward into the portal. "Can't you kill the bastard?" Celica stared at Senna. "He'll revive in hell, and if I did that, or destroyed the contract, Roberta's soul would be bound to that devil forever. All because she signed the contract." She grabbed her head. "I wonder if my father can do something about this. No, he's the one who made the rule about not messing with devils' contracts in the first place." New novel chapters are published on 350 Celica and Explosions. Chapter 650 Celica and Explosions. Now that's a problem. Celica stared at the contract in Senna's hand, cosmically obliged to deliver this to her. Senna sighed. "It'll take me a while to figure a way out of this thing. What do you suggest?" Celica approached and sat on the chair facing Senna's desk, pouring tea for the both of them. "I'll call her and show her the contract," Senna replied, taking a sip. She brewed it with holy water. "A prank may be, but it's enough to tell the devil he isn't welcome here." "Then what? You keep it?" Celica looked at the contract, reading it. "I'll need to give it several deep reads and try and figure some loopholes. At least from one glance, I see none." She shook her head. "We're in a pickle here. I suspect killing the devil is out of the question, and so is burning the contract." Celica gave the contract back to Senna. "We have to play with the rules this time." "We can play by the rules, but I'm worried about what Arad would do if he knew about the contract." Senna put the contract aside and started reading the other papers and signing them to finish her work. "Arad is scary," Celica said, wiggling in place. "You know what he is, so can you stop acting?" Senna stared at her. He won't harm you or us. I mean, I'm a mere pebble half-eaten by a slimes. Celica replied, lifting her hands with a confused face. I'll die if he just sneezed at me. Senna stared at her. You're right. But if you thought that, what normal people should think last I checked one punch from you and they'll die in an explosion. Celica licked her arm from the elbow to the tip of her fingers, her spit turning into green slime as she clenched her fists. You made me like this. If you had just washed me down by the river before turning me into a human. I wanted a guard maid that could handle humans well, not a powerful monster of destruction. Senna smiled, swirling the tea in her cup. I don't know whether to call you a benevolent mistress for granting me life or a cruel one for making me like this. But back to the contract. What should we do? Go and call Roberta. I'll think of something in the meantime. Celica stood with a smile, the green slime on her arm crackling with tiny explosions as it burned into ash, getting washed by the wind. I'll be back soon. Don't explode it here. It leaves dust everywhere. Senna sighed. I'm the one cleaning, so it doesn't matter. Celica turned to leave. Have your weapons, Senna said, looking at Celica's back. I have them with me, Celica replied. You worry a lot about me. You aren't that much stronger than an average to a high-rank adventurer. It only takes a few people ganging up on you to lose. Fair enough, Celica smiled. I'm more of a servant than a fighter. She walked out of the office and headed to the changing room, taking her work uniform out and wearing a casual ankle-length brown tunic belted at the waist. She tied her hair into a ball and covered it with a long scarf that she wrapped around her neck to ward off the winter's cold, finishing her outfit with a large hide cloak and a pair of knee-high leather boots. She left the office and locked the door after herself, taking one step after another in the freezing winter, heading down toward Alina, which was just down the hill. Where are you going? An old man shoveling the snow off his house's entrance waved his hand to her. It's cold for you, isn't it? I have some things to take care of. It's you who should be inside. You're too old to work like that. Celica replied, waving her hand back to him. Gotta keep moving those old bones, lest they crumble. The old man tapped his back and went back to shoveling the snow as Celica made her way to the city gate. The guards saw her approaching and recognized her immediately, opening the gate without her even asking. Thank you. She waved her hand to them as she saw the gate open. It's cold. We won't let you wait in the snow, a guard replied with a smile, warming his hands on a torch hanged to the walls. Celica walked into the city not finding a single trace of the snow or cold. Merlin's heater was already working and doing its job, warming the whole place and warding off the cold. Celica took her cap off and removed the scarf off her hair, only wrapping it around her neck as she took a deep breath. This heater almost became a disaster, but who cares if it's working perfectly now? She smiled, strolling through the streets as she approached Roberta's shop. Who said that? She heard a man scream and sighed. No again. She looked, seeing Roberta standing in front of her shop, facing a bunch of thugs. Why does it have to happen this often? She approached with a tired face. Roberta, you alone today? Celica asked, and all the thugs turned toward her. Celica? Father got a cold, and those idiots are taking the chance to start troubles. Roberta shouted, Call the guards. Celica pushed her hand into her tunic's cleavage, pulling a double-barrel musket, just like Merlin. She had a storage spell inscribed right in front of her heart, between her breasts as a magic circle. Where did you pull that? One of the thugs giggled. Think that weird musket would stop us. They surrounded her. You look like a nice, one of them approached, looking closer at her face. Tuff. Celica spat on his face, causing him to recoil back. You be. The spit on his face turned green, crackling before bursting into a fiery explosion, sending him rolling back. Celica pointed the musket at him. Bang, bang! She emptied the 2 barrels on his back end, burning a hole in his clothes and leaving him smoking, unconscious. Don't worry, they are false shells. They'll burn and break bones, but you won't die. She opened the musket like a double-barrel shotgun, spitting inside the shell chamber to fuel it, then closed it back. This woman. The other thugs pulled their swords and crossbows. You won't get away with it too much. but I'll manage the cleaning." Celica stared around at them, her eyes glowing red. "Ah, Celica." Mira walked around the corner, waving her hand. "What's going on here?" She looked around, seeing about 20 thugs there. "Bring the hammer," Celica smiled. "Care to help?" "Can't be helped." Mira pulled a sledgehammer from her pocket. "This'll hurt," the hammer crackled with an electric spark. Mira already upgraded her lighting hammer to be more compact. The most up-to-date novels are published on Chapter 651. Don't mess with the ladies. Chapter 651. Don't mess with the ladies. Wait, is that Erad's wife? One of the thugs gasped. That her, Mira. 2 pointed their crossbows at her. What brought you here? We have no business with you. Mira rushed forward, bending down and slipping beneath their crossbow bolts. One of the thugs swung his sword at her, but she blocked it with the hammer's shaft. Sorry, girl. You lack strength. The thug smiled, pushing her back. No, you lack teeth. She smiled. A nail firing from the hammerhead and piercing the thug's chin, shattering his lower jaw and dropping several of his teeth down. I came to order leather for some couches that I'm working on. Mira glared at them, lightning crackling from her hammer. What are the guards doing? How could the likes of you still be crawling the city in daylight? The thugs growled, lunging at her with their swords. Arad is dead, or at best crippled for life. He didn't show up in days. Bam! Celica blasted one of them in the back with one shell, dropping him down. The thugs turned toward her. You? We're talking here. No, she said. Bang! She shot her second shell at the jewels of the thug who talked, sending him crying on the ground with his pants on fire. It's burning, he cried. In this world, those who don't take a craft or a regular job end up in one of 2 places, either adventurers who rely on their power to hunt monsters and make a living, or a soldier serving the kingdom. It's generally known that strong people become adventurers as that makes more money and gives them less responsibility to worry about. The weaker ones end up joining the military, training as soldiers to serve as knights and guards, but those are still the people who couldn't face monsters head on. On the other hand, the weak cowards who didn't fit for adventuring and didn't make it into the army, as well as refused to take a normal job or a craft to support themselves, ended up escaping to the mountains, banding together to rob traveling merchants for easy money. Some of them do end up finding power and a purpose in life, becoming bandit lords and powerful criminals to be feared. Rats like you coming after a small shop in daylight to threaten them for money are the lowest of the lowest. Those who swarm like bugs always end up squashed like them. Celica glared at them. One of the bandits growled, standing up. So you want a fair fight? Be my guest. He clenched his fist, walking forward and signaling to the others to stand back. Her spit seems like an explosive slime, probably a sorcerer's ability, but seems fairly limited from what we've seen. And since she hasn't reloaded yet, all I need to do is smack her before she does that. Celica stared at him with a smug, mocking glare. Really? Come and try, she giggled. 2 veins bulged on the bandit's forehead. He growled, jumping forward with a clenched fist. Celica dropped her musket and the bandit gasped mid-attack, appalled at her action. But he didn't slow down, his fist accelerating toward her face. Crack! His fist smacked into her face, but he could feel a sharp pain rushing through his wrist as he saw Celica's face being a dark shade of purple, with her eyes glowing red. Broke your fist! Celica spat right into his fist, covering it in her explosive spit. The bandit stepped back, crying and holding his broken fist, desperately trying to get the spit off it before it exploded, but ended up spreading it into his other hand as well. Bam! The bandit's fists exploded, shattering his fingers into pieces as he rolled on the ground in pain. Celica rolled up her sleeves, her forearms and fists turning purple as she licked them, covering them in her explosive spit. Wait, he cried, but Celica didn't listen, jumping forward and swinging her fists. A right hook to the chin exploded his cheek, and the second uppercut to the liver dropped him down with a black, charred mark on his side. Run. The other bandits turned to run away, but Mira smacked her hammer in their way. Where do you think you're going? The guards are coming to give you a nice room in jail. Get out of the way. They lunged forward, swinging their swords at her. Mira swung her hammer sideways, aiming to smack their swords out of the way. Clack! A hand blocked her hammer while another blocked the swords. Between them, a tall, white-haired man stood with a smile. Don't get into fights, Arad would get angry. Gojo stared at her, letting go of her hammer. They have crossbows. You can't block bolts with a heavy hammer, he pointed back with his thumb. This white hair, one of the bandits gasped. Hello there. Gojo turned toward the bandits. Good day to you. It's him. They jumped back, shivering. The ice wizard. Gojo. Gojo stepped forward, walking between the thugs without a care in the world, and picked up Celica's musket. Lady, you drop this. He handed it to her. You only showed up when Mira was attacked. Celica took the musket, staring at him with a suspicious eye. I mean, she's Arad's wife. You aren't. Gojo looked back toward Roberta, who stood in front of her shop's door. But I came here to buy some stuff. His eyes quickly shifted back toward the thugs. You're still holding your weapons? He shook his head. That isn't wise, do you know? He stepped forward, and they stepped back. Want me to throw you naked in the frozen north to be eaten by bears? I'll do that, I swear. He lifted his hands, wiggling his fingers as if casting a spell with a smirk. Huff and puff, and your bear food. The thugs turned away to run, but they immediately froze in place. Wait there till the guards come. I hope you won't die to the cold, he smiled, turning toward Roberta. I was looking for this black silk cloth. Do you have it? He walked forward, pulling a ripped piece of cloth and showing it to Roberta. No, but I can order it for you. Roberta took the cloth of his hand. Please do. I'll buy a large amount, like 5 or 6 rolls. That'll be expensive. Added another 5 or 6 rolls that are golden, silver, blue, and white, he smiled. That's like 30 rolls? I can pay. Needs them to make clothes and scroll covers. He pulled a bag of gold. Buy and call me when they arrive. Just say Gojo and I'll show up. Fine. Gojo disappeared right in front of her eyes. Read latest chapters at Only chapter 652. Did he only mention names? Chapter 652. Did he only mention names? So Roberta looked toward Celica and Mira as the guards dragged the frozen thugs on large planks of wood drawn by horses. Needed to buy anything? Celica looked toward Mira. Deal with her first. I'm here on a more official matter, she pointed with her head. Don't tell me there is a problem with the shop, Roberta gasped. She had bought the shop from Senna and had been using it for a while. But it wasn't that long, and troubles could have still arisen if nobles interfered with the dead under the table. Nothing like that, Celica looked toward Mira. We'll talk inside, so get her order done first. Our conversation might take a bit of time, she smiled. You don't want us to keep you waiting, do you? Mira stared at her. You sound like you don't want me here. To be blunt, that's right. Celica said with a straight face, what I need to talk with Roberta about is something private. Since I don't know if she's okay with sharing it with others, I'll only talk about it with her. I see. Mira sighed, waving her hand and pulling out a paper. The order and measurements. I'll take it if it's a bit bigger but not smaller. Roberta looked at the paper. I see, I'll get it in line. Should I send it to Madame Lila's shop? Or to Arad's house? Send it to my shop in Arad's village. Mira turned to leave. Wait a bit, Roberta called her and then looked toward Celica. Is it bad or good news? Bad news, Celica replied with a straight face. From 1 to 10, how bad is it? Celica started thinking, scratching her chin with a worried face. Depending on what I know and feel, I'll have to say you're fucked out of 10, she growled. It'll be a 10 if it's a mortal problem. And now that's a devil involved, it's only right. It's gone off the chart. That bad? Roberta gasped. Mira, can you stay? I don't feel like I could take the news on my own. Of course, if you don't mind. Mira smiled. We can get Arad to help once he wakes up. If it's someone targeting you, I'm sure he can beat them senseless. Celica stared at Mira. I doubt even Arad. She paused for a second. No, I can imagine that muscle mountain dancing topless into the devil's mansion and slapping him could help. Let's hear what it is and then decide, Mira smiled, walking into the shop. The sooner you pluck that tooth out, the sooner it'll stop hurting. You're right, Roberta smiled as she walked behind Mira, and Selika followed her. The three of them sat inside the shop, and Roberta closed the door, lighting some candles as they sat around a table. So, what is it? Mira looked toward Selika. To start, I don't have all the details at hand. For those, you must head to Senna's office and read on your own, Selika stated. Get ready and don't panic. It's this bad? Roberta stared at her, worried. A devil has you chained in a contract, Selika said with a serious face. He demands your father's and Princess Isdis's lives. The two stared at her, puzzled for a second. Wait? A devil? Mira gasped. Are you joking? Sadly, I'm not, and you know I'm not good at joking. Selika said, I'm as cold as a stone, or should I say a pebble. A devil once tried to force Arad into a contract, and he managed to beat him with help. Yes, but he was weaker at the time. Mira smiled. Let's wait for him to wake and ask him to go teach that devil a lesson. I can't stress this hard enough. Selika stared at them. The difference between fighting a devil without being in a contract, or while being in one, is stupidly massive. We must play by the rules, Roberta mumbled. Is it what I think it is? Your mother made you sign that contract 18 years ago when you were a little girl. I don't know why, but the devil showed up today to deliver a copy of the contract. Selika looked at Roberta. The situation is bad. Roberta started scratching her head, looking at the table. Mira shifted her eyes between the two, sitting straight. Did the contract ask for Isdis and Roberta's father by name? Yes, Selika replied. There is no mistaking that. Did it specify anything else? Like humans born at a certain date, or I don't know? Or have certain marks? Mira tapped her finger on the table. I don't fully remember, but I don't think it did. It mentioned their full name and what the terms are. Well then, it's simple. Mira looked around, her eyes stopping at the burning candle lighting the table. With a gentle move, she lifted it, getting it closer to her lips, and with one blow, the flame vanished, only leaving faint white smoke. Isdis's life snuffed out? Mira smiled, grabbing the candle with her second hand and breaking it in half, and her body severed into two parts. Selika and Roberta stared at the candle. Mira smiled. If he didn't specify what they are exactly, this candle is Isdis for all we care. If someone contracted me to make a house and they were skimping on the materials expecting me to pay for them out of my pocket, they'll get a house as per the contract. It'll be a dog house instead of a human one. But they didn't specify what, so they get their materials worth. We need to read the fine print before, Selika scratched her chin, but this might actually work. Only delivering what he asked. She giggled. I'll keep my hopes down, Roberta sighed. It doesn't feel real. Worry not. Mira smiled. This is only my idea. I bet everyone else has their own say in how to outsmart a contract. Even if my idea doesn't work, I'll bet Doma or Zephyr would have something to say. Wind spirit Zephyr? Selika nodded. You might be right, such an ancient and wise being. I'm sure she has dealt with the devil at least once. You're right, Roberta smiled. Mira stared at them, remembering Zephyr dancing at the wedding on a table, drenched in dwarven fire wine, drunker than anyone she ever saw, shaking her thin hips from left to right, chanting, A, with a stupid face, not a single drop of wisdom in that. Mira sighed. But we have two people we could ask for help, Abel and Sarah. I'm sure those two would have a lot to say. Visit For the Best Novel Reading Experience, Chapter 653, Devil's Dilemma. Chapter 653, Devil's Dilemma. Abel sat on a chair, thinking with his chin on his hands. His eyes stared directly at Mira, Selika, and Roberta, who sat facing him. In the background, you could hear a woman moaning as they were in the Elephant's Trunk guest room. A devil's contract, he mumbled. For all I know, those are absolute. He looked at them. Me and Sarah live here in Alina. We don't have any notable rank. And even if we had a high rank, it's impossible to void a contract. They were made so they can't be broken by either the devil or the humanoids. Don't you have any idea how to get out of it?" Celica stared at him. "You must know something, seeing as those two trust you. You can try negotiating with the devil and see if you can agree to change the terms. The content of a contract can always be modified if the two parties agree." Abel leaned back on his chair looking at the ceiling. "This is a shitty mud pit to get stuck in. People might think that at least it can be solved by words and negotiations. It's more accessible and easier to navigate. But that couldn't be more wrong." He looked toward Roberta. "It's 100 times easier to solve problems like this with blood than to be stuck with a contract. But alas, we can't kill our way out of this." Purred. "You, Don, you talk about killing as if it's a simple thing?" Roberta looked at him, confused at his words. "Can't we just have a paladin smite him? If it was that easy, no one would consider the devil's contract a danger. The moment an accessible solution to a problem emerges, that problem is no longer problematic. It becomes a mere task." He lifted his hand, waving it and conjuring a small locked box. "If all people could open this lock, I wouldn't bother locking it in the first place, as that would be meaningless." Click. The main door opened and Sarah walked in, looking around and hearing the customers moaning in the back. "Abel, didn't I tell you to make the walls thicker?" "I did. The girls are just loud." Abel replied, but almost immediately they heard a man's moan. "And Jeffrey, he's loud as well." Abel sighed, smacking the wall with his fist. "I'll throw you out naked. Keep it down." Sarah walked toward the girls and smiled. "Sorry for meeting you in such a place." She smiled, sitting down beside Roberta. "I was told you have a problem that I and brother might be able to help with." "A devil's contract," Abel said. Sarah looked toward Roberta. "You signed a devil's contract?" "Mom made me do it when I was a little girl, but she's dead now." Roberta looked down. Mira grunted. "Isn't it unfair for a devil to accept a contract signed by a child?" "Roberta's mother is to blame here and not the devil." Sarah looked at them. "Devils aren't upheld by human morals. They only care that you signed it. You can be a fetus for all they care. The blame is on Roberta's mother, making her own daughter sign a deal with the devil." "It's already done," Celica looked at Sarah. "Let's leave it in the past and think of a way to get out of the contract." "There is a simple way." Sarah looked at them with a serious face. "But it's risky." Everyone stared at her, even Abel gasped. "You don't mean that," Sarah nodded. "Swim with the flow, let the devil win and enslave Roberta, and then go save her from his house in the hells. Devils are immortal in hell, and let's not forget the immense power they hold and the suffering of hell. No mortal could survive there without having their entire existence be a constant searing agony." Abel tapped the table. "Beating the devil in his own house is out of the question. It's the clearest path." Sarah looked at her brother. "We need to put all options on the table. If you killed a devil in hell, he'll revive at the spot. They also gain a massive power boost from being inside their house due to enchantments, the overflow of cursed mana, and their own magic and minions. And on top of all of that, they are the jailers of the sinners. You'll be weak to their attacks if you're trying to commit the sin of stealing in front of them, and that if you were a holy priest monk of goodness before," Abel explained. "What about Arad?" Sarah smiled. "He is, wait, a dragon," Abel smiled. "They don't steal," he giggled. "This might work, but is he strong enough to beat that devil? We don't know how that thing is strong, do we? Cena might know how strong that devil is." Wait, Mira stared at them. "If Arad is trying to steal Roberta back from the devil, he's stealing. For dragons, wealth is for those strong enough to take it. To them, it's not a crime to steal, as long as they beat you and prove they are the strongest." Cena smiled. "He'll be fine on that side, as long as he didn't commit any crimes before. Does killing a red dragon that came to kill a red wormling count?" Mira looked at her. "No, he was protecting a wyrmling. I'm sure he hunted a young dragon when he was a wyrmling," Mira added. "That might count as murder if he initiated the fight. If Arad got counted as a sinner in hell, the devil would have an advantage over him." Sarah scratched her head. We need an expert's opinion. Killing humans doesn't count. Roberta looked at Mira. I'm sure it's best if we leave Arad out of this. I don't want him to end up harmed in hell because of me. Humans don't count as far as I know. Sarah shook her head. Humanoids are like ants to dragons. A man won't be judged by the count of ants he killed, although metallic dragons are fighting to make that count, and they do get judged for killing humans in hell. The reality, Abel looked at them. We're a bunch of ignorant children discussing the cosmic laws of the hells. We probably shouldn't put a plan without finding an actual expert, someone that lived in the hells. Do you suggest we summon a devil? Sarah stared at him. I suggest you pray at least once to Asmodeus and see if she responds. You're a priestess of her, right? Abel looked at Sarah. Do you know you're talking about that Asmodeus, the queen of hell herself? To her, contracts are the most sacred. Asking me to talk her into voiding one is like asking God to burn his own scriptures. I'll end up cursed, and she might drag us all down. Sarah stared at her brother. Come on, he waved his hand. What I've heard about her. She's quite chill. How many Asmodeus there are? Sarah stared at him. One. You know nothing, so let me handle this. Sarah sighed. There are two Asmodeus. They are twins. One is merciful, and the other is vengeful. Calling upon them would bring us more harm than help. New novel chapters are published on 54, The Devil's True Goal. Chapter 654, The Devil's True Goal. Talking like this won't get us anywhere near any solution. Celica sighed. Let's head to Senna's office for Roberta to see the contract and read it. I'll go check on how Arad's egg is doing. Mira stood. I'm sure we'll need his help with this. Can he really beat a devil? Abel stared at them. I know Arad is powerful, but this isn't a problem that could be solved with raw strength. Mira smiled. Arad is probably the smartest of us when it comes to understanding an opponent and adapting to him. I'm sure he'll figure a way to win. Ha ha ha, the devil laughed in his house, sitting on a chair and staring at the mortal world through a scrying crystal. They are thinking of a way to void the contract. Fools, aren't they? He looked back at a bowing woman, chains dangling from her neck and limbs. You're the fool, the woman smiled. Do you think you can beat my Roberta? The devil smirked, lifted his hand, and pulled the woman by her neck chain. For a woman that forced her daughter to sign a devil contract, you're awfully trusting of her ability. I might be a lost cause, but Roberta isn't. Roberta's mother glared at the devil. Cry as much as you like, the devil pushed her away. Soon I'll have her soul and eyes, and at that moment all devils shall bow to me infinite wisdom. Infinite wisdom, you say? The mother giggled as two horned devils dragged her back to her cell. She's the one to laugh last. If she doesn't know, she'll never get out of this. The devil stared at her, getting dragged away. Soon you'll be of no use and get thrown into the worm's pit. As the mother got dragged away, the devil stared back into the crystal, looking directly toward Roberta's glowing golden eyes. Those shall be mine. They're too good for a mortal to have. He waved his hands. I'll away your arrival. The crystal went black as he turned it off. Roberta stood with Celica and Sarah. We'll go to Mistress Sina. Celica said, You go and check on Arad. We might end up needing his power, and ask Zephyr for her opinion. We can't ignore the wisdom of an ancient spirit like her, Sarah added. She could know more than anyone else. Got it, Mira nodded, walking out and rushing toward Arad's house. Abel stood and looked at his sister. I'll get one to hold the shop and then go do some research. Mother's library. Senna stared at him. I know you don't like getting in there, so I'll go and check it, Abel smiled. Thank you. Don't mind it. Abel waved his hand as he walked into the back rooms of the shop. Juliana, where are you? Master Abel? Come here and hold the shop for me. They could hear him yell as they left. As the girls walked out of the city's gate, they saw a stream of steam approaching from the forest. Upon a closer look, it was Merlin and Amber walking with a massive burned snake dragged behind them on a magic platform. The heat rushing out of Amber's body melted the snow. Sarah blinked. Merlin, do you have a moment? I always have time for 30% of my research budget. Merlin smiled, approaching them. Merlin got the funds for her research from several sources. For example, the heaters' funds were collected from the people of the city. They got informed that Merlin was working on a device to heat the entire city through the window and that she needed a stupid amount of money for testing and magic components, so the people made a donation box and filled it with money for her. Albeit that wasn't enough, so she had to do some quests to supplement the remaining amounts. The Lord occasionally funds her research and he contributes a lot, but when Merlin wants to try something questionable, he always says no. This usually is for research on things like different alchemical drugs, magic items with strange properties, or outright inhuman objects like pain droplets. But it only happened that Senna usually funds those things for her as they sell well in the black market. She's the one who funded the research on the healing potion that turned Alcott into a woman for a month. You see me as funds? Sarah sighed. We need your help with something, and it's urgent. Merlin looked at them. Roberta and Celica are here. I did sense a devil's presence around Senna's office earlier. Is this about that? You know? Celica stared at Merlin. Mistress Senna put a barrier, didn't she? I did make you a small heater for your office, didn't I? Merlin smiled and Celica growled. You installed spying devices there? Who knows? Merlin looked away. It's not like I'm spying on everyone. You clog of humans, Celica sighed. But since you already knew, let's head to the office. Amber looked at them. What is this about? It'll be a long story. Merlin looked at Amber and then turned toward Roberta. Don't worry, I might be able to catch the bastard and cage him. Inside Senna's office, everyone sat around a table with tea already poured. You've been spying on me? Senna glared at Merlin. No. Merlin looked away. But let's focus on the devil. She changed the subject, her eyes shifting toward Roberta with a grin. What do you have that he wants? What? Roberta gasped. Unlike popular belief, devils aren't unreasonable. Give them what they want and you'll get what you want. Merlin's eyes looked closely at Roberta. If we gave him what he wants from you, I'm certain he'll leave you alone. He wants Isdis and Father's lives. Roberta pointed at the contract that Senna pulled. A devil's goal is always the target, failing the contract. From that, I can assume he wants you, not those two. She pointed at her. We need to figure out what he wants, she waved her hand, leaving a trail of magic. Giving a devil what he wants is a bad idea. Probably, but a good one for Roberta's safety, Merlin replied. Do you have any magic items that you're attuned to? No, Roberta shook her head. Then follow me to the back room, Merlin stood. I'll use some spells to inspect your body for anomalies. You might have something inside you that he wants. Inspect? Roberta gasped. It's just a spell. It'll interfere with my spyware here, Merlin whispered to her. I heard that, Senna growled. I want those eyes of hers, the devil giggled. But they are attuned to her soul. You can't separate them from her by normal means. The most up-to-date novels are published on Bewbury, Chapter 655, Telling Aella. Chapter 655, Telling Aella. Nothing strange. Merlin sighed, looking at Roberta with one eye closed and the other one glowing blue, except your eyes that can detect lies. But that is a common and easily attained spell. Roberta gasped. Wait, finished the inspecting? She looked around. I didn't even take my jacket yet. Who said you need to take it off? Merlin blinked to stop her spell, staring at Roberta with a confused face. Clothes won't block inspection magic unless they were magically enchanted. But I guess you aren't a make, so you don't know that. It's true that I can know when people are lying to my face. Roberta approached Merlin. You sure that isn't what the devil is after? I'm certain if he wanted that, he could cast a spell and get it. Merlin shook her head. It's so common that most guards have several mages ready to cast it when interrogating criminals. I'm not casting a spell. Even if it's an inborn ability, it won't be that important, since anyone can get it if they don't have it. From between her chest, Merlin pulled a small book and showed it to Roberta. See? This fits in the palm of your hand and it's only priced at several silver coins at best. Anyone can learn the detect lie spell and casting for little mana, as low as 10 if they are talented, Merlin explained, closing her eyes and opening them again. Detect lie? She could see under Roberta's skin, sensing the blood flowing in her veins. When the pressure changes a certain way, the spell signals a lie. Roberta blinked, her eyes glowing golden. She could see Merlin's body engulfed in a blue haze burning like fire as she smiled. "You can have that tome for free? Learn the spell and test it?" Merlin said with a smile. In Roberta's eyes, the aura around Merlin shifted, burning brighter as sparks of red flew from her skin to the edges like crackling flames. "Nothing is ever given for free," Roberta sighed. "I can take this time for free now, yes, but you'll later ask for a favor if you need it. Isn't that why people are for? I scratch your back and you scratch mine." Merlin smiled. "We help each other." The two walked out of the room smiling. "I'm busy here." Mira looked past Aella. "What are you?" She saw a half-lamb carcass laid on the counter. "Oh, cutting meat. It's horrid, the stench stings in the back of my nose," Aella sighed. "So, what did you need me for?" "I actually needed to talk with Zephyr. It's about Roberta." Mira took her shoe and thick-jacked, walking into the kitchen. "Don't tell me something bad happened to her." "Didn't happen yet, but might happen soon," Mira replied. "Long story short, she's stuck in a contract with a devil and could lose her soul if she didn't kill her father and Isdis." "Wait, what?" Ella gasped. "How did she end up in a contract with a devil? She isn't that stupid to sign one. Her mother made her sign it when she was a little girl." Mira grabbed the lamb's carcass with her hand, cutting the leg with one swipe of a knife, causing Aella, who struggled with it for an hour, to gasp. "How could you do that?" Aella looked at the leg. "And how could her mother do that?" "I don't know. And it doesn't matter now. Where is Zephyr?" "I'm sure she can help, or at least give advice," Mira replied, showing Aella where the joints of the leg were and how to cut through them. "She's out hunting in the mountains," Aella replied. "Said she needs to bulk up in case Vlad attacks." Hunt? To think a fairy as small as her would need to go hunt for food like Arad does. He's at least a massive dragon. Mira kept showing Aella how to cut the lamb as they talked. She said that a creature's food requirement raises as its power output rises. "I've been sensing it for a while. Zephyr's mana quality and level have been increasing rapidly since she started eating like that, as if she was starving before, and only now she's getting back into shape." Aella looked out the window. "How is Arad doing? Any change?" Mira looked back toward the basement stairs. "Nothing at all. The usually spikes in magic, but nothing else," Aella replied. "Let's cut this first and take it to the cold room, and then check on him." The two cut the half-lamb into pieces, packed it in large steel bowls, and carried it down to the basement. "Open," Aella called. Do I open?" A squeaking voice came from behind the door, pulling it open. A tiny goblin bowed to them. "Welcome, ladies. Can I help you carry that?" "Thank you." Mira handed him her bowl as she rushed to the kitchen to grab another one. "There are more upstairs. Take another send two to bring the rest to the cold room," Aella added with a smile. "As you wish." The goblin turned and shouted. Soon 2 more goblins came to carry the meat. Aella and Mira made their way to the cold room, a large empty space frozen into ice by Isdis's magic. As Arad went into hibernation, they couldn't rely on his stomach to store food anymore, so they are now using this room. Aella paused for a second. "Now that I'm thinking about it, it sounds wrong, doesn't it?" She shivered. "What sounds wrong?" Mira looked at her, confused. "Arad stored the food in his stomach so it won't spoil. Doesn't that mean we've been eating his poo?" She looked at her. "Stop right there. Take that out of my mind, now," Mira cried. "It's a storage magic." "Storage magic?" Ella giggled. "Sorry, can't be helped now." "You," Mira growled. "Fine, let's go check on Arad." She sighed, trying to change the subject and wash the thought out of her head. The two walked deeper into the dungeon, eventually reaching the kobold's lair. "Ladies, did you come to check on our lord?" The kobold guard bowed. How is he, brimming with magic? The kobold giggled, updated from Chapter 656. This is me. Chapter 656. This is me. Aella and Mira walked into the cavern where Arad's egg was resting. They could see it on top of a mountain of gold, gems, and jewelry pulsing with magic. The room keeps changing each time they walk in. New things grow, and the older ones grow larger. Badump. They could hear the egg throbbing like a heart, emitting a faint purple glow as it discharged mana into the room that later condensed as pure mana crystals on the walls, ceiling and ground dangling and protruding down like stalactites and stalagmites. Mira gasped, taking a step back. Sorry, almost forgot. Aella waved her hand around her, engulfing her in a ball of wind magic. Better? Yeah, thanks. Arad's egg constantly absorbed air from the cavern, dropping the pressure and oxygen concentration a lot. And on top of that, the discharged mana fills the air and overwhelms anyone who isn't used to it. For someone like Mira, who isn't attuned to any kind of magic, she feels like she's standing on a mountain peak thousands of feet in the air. On top of that, the concentrated mana overwhelms her and makes her feel like she hyperoxygenated. This cavern isn't an environment that humans can survive in without the aid of magic. Mira blinked. It hit faster today. The mana in the air is a bit denser than before. It's honestly getting to terrifying levels. Aella walked forward and Mira slowly trailed behind her until they reached the start of Arad's gold bed. But isn't it natural? Mira said, looking at the gold and the egg. This looks like those stories of great monsters. The egg would crack when we try to steal the gold, and we'll face the powerful monster guarding the treasure. Alcott said it feels like a Labyrinth Level 50 boss room. And that was 3 days ago. Aella looked at Mira. It's probably more than double that now. If Arad won against adult dragons and even managed to kill an abomination that most might not be able to handle, Mira stared at the egg. What kind of power would he come up with? They could sense the mana in the room slowly rising, leaking out of the egg as heat radiating with power and magic. How is he doing? Miriam walked into the room, looking at the walls as if to inspect the growing magic crystals. Seems well, she smiled. The magic is growing steadily, so we can guess he's doing fine, Aella replied. It reminds me of butterflies. They start as larvae, then evolve in a cocoon to full-gown adults. Do you know what scares me? Miriam approached them. He's only becoming a juvenile. Would he even be able to live with us when reaching the higher stages? Or he'll have to disappear from the world like other magic dragons. We don't hear much about other magic dragons, but if Gojo is still around, he's a mature adult now. Arad would be with us for a while. Mira smiled. Gojo is only 2 years old. Aella looked at her. Arad might not be with us for more than 3 years before reaching a level where life like it is now can't sustain him. Just looked at how much he eats now. I doubt the forest's ecosystem could handle him. He'll probably start hunting in other places. Mira looked at the egg, but his magic discharge would be quite troublesome without Aella's protection. Just standing in this room could kill her. Zephyr is back, Aella smiled. Let's go see her. You're right. Mira looked at the egg. Good night, Arad. The two left, leaving Miriam sitting there with the egg. She looked at the ceiling. It's been a few days. What are you doing in there? She sighed. Don't make us wait. Upon walking out of the basement, Ella and Mira could see Zephyr asleep on the couch, scratching her bulged stomach. She looks pregnant. Mira sighed, ate herself to sleep. Ella waved her hand. Wake up. Zephyr opened her eyes. What? I'm digesting food here. Long story short, how do we void a devil contract? Mira stared at her and Zephyr blinked. A devil? I sensed one of them earlier. Roberta is stuck in a contract. Aella looked at her. Can you help? Depends on the contract and the devil we're talking about. Zephyr replied, barely managing to sit. But please keep in mind, I don't have much authority in hell. I know you can't tell the devil to quit, but can't you figure out a way to void the contract? Aella stared at her. Contracts are give and take. What did he give for you to be held by the contract? Equivalent exchange, isn't it? Zephyr flew and sat on Ayla's head. The devil is as held by the contract as we are, and is playing the same game of trying to figure a way to make us fail the contract. This the most common case. She looked at Ayla's eyes. Let's go give that contract a read. In hell, the devil laughed as he watched. As expected of the great wind spirit, she is immediately aware of the game and intends to play. He smiled, standing up. Most devils' true goal is making their clients fail their contract, but that a double-edged sword. The devils in his room bowed, lining up to form a path as two of them conjured a hell gate. Be well. Time to make my first move. With a smile, the devil walked into the gate and stood in the mortal world with a large smile on his face. He extended his hand forward. My lady, I am not shady, he giggled. Your father in hell and to this world I might bring. Merida sat in front of one of Alina's food stalls, eating a piece of grilled chicken as the devil appeared behind her. She slowly turned her head, seeing as the people around her seemed frozen in time. Who are you? Merida asked, her eyes glowing green. Someone who's here to help. What do you say, want your father back? He smiled, extending his hand toward her. About that, Merida said, black veins bulging from her right arm up to her neck. She lunged at the devil and pulled the longsword Alcott gave her from her magic bag in the blink of an eye, swinging at the devil's neck. The devil lunged back, only having a long scratch across his chest. You're fast and aggressive, aren't you? He smiled, wiping the purple blood dripping from his wound. Bam! Merida's body disappeared from his sight, causing him to gasp. What's this speed? No. Her magic isn't that of a human. The devil's head jolted to the side as he turned, seeing Merida already standing on the wall of the church tower in the distance, about to jump back at him. Bam! With one leap. She crossed 100 meters back and swung at the devil's neck. Clang! The devil lifted his arms and blocked the sword with his forearms. The demon lord of fungus is lending her his power. To think you could call upon a patron's power this fast. The devil laughed. But no matter how much power he lends you, you can't beat me. This is me, Merida said in a gargling voice, the fungus spreading across her body. This is the last time I ask. The devil pulled an unsigned contract. Want your father back? Merida took a stance ready to strike. So you don't want him back? What a shame. The devil waved his hand and the contract burned into ash. Now even if you begged, I'm not bringing him back. Beal each eek, he coughed blood, feeling his heart throbbing as his vision blurred. What shrooms are you on? Merida said, her voice changing. Yeah, my shrooms. It was then that the devil realized this wasn't Merida's he was facing, but the demon lord of fungus himself. You helping a mere human like this. Do you have no pride? The devil stared at Merida. She's the one who got me where I stand, the demon replied. To me, she's like a mother. And my pride is making sure people like you never insult my mother, trying to trick her into a contract. I see, the devil growled internally. She never heard me in the first place. The moment I stopped time, the demon lord of fungus took her place. The devil laughed. Then this route is blocked, no matter. He waved his hand. I'm no fool to face you alone. Follow current novels on correct. Chapter 657, Contracted Debt. Merida blinked, looking into the stall with her food in front of her. Something moved, she said, noticing that the piece of chicken that was supposed to be in the skewer in her hand was on the plate. A devil came. I kicked him out. Fungus replied inside her head, You didn't need to do that? Devils are notorious for hitting painful strings with lies and deception to get their goals. It would have been an emotional rainfall if you met him. That's why I kicked him out. My family had enough deals with demons for me to know how dealing with devils could end. Merida smiled, finishing her food. Thanks for taking care of him. No need to thank me. I said that you'll have my full power behind you once I become the new demon lord of fungus, and now that I got there, I'll do my best to keep that end of the promise. In the forest, a massive horned tiger was running from adventurers, making its way deeper and deeper into the woods when it suddenly stopped, staring at the mountain. Its fur stood out, and it grunted, taking a step back. It stopped. Kill it. The adventurers screamed as they saw the monster stop. The tiger looked back at them and then started running in another direction, changing his path after sensing something ahead. On the mountain, Eris sat on a stone with 10 small balls of plasma floating around, sweating as she kept her eyes closed with a sword piercing her heart. "You're leaking a lot of magic," Isdis said, with a smile, sitting at the side and watching her. "I'm trying to keep control," Eris growled, feeling her entire body aching to pull the sword out and heal like she's been holding her breath for a long time. "As a vampire, I should be able to survive without a heart." "Aren't you born with that ability?" Isdis stared at her. "Don't joke, we aren't," Eris replied. "A novice vampire can be killed like any human. The high-ranked vampires survive heart stabs because they use their blood control to move the blood through their veins manually. It's by no means easy to do or something that you get naturally by being a vampire." "Do it now." Isdis stood, pulling her sword and approaching Eris. "I'm going to do it." She swung her sword, chopping Eris's head with one swing. The blood thread quickly disappeared and was replaced by sparks of holy magic, which disappeared soon after. "This is better than last time," Isdis smiled. "You can do it." Eris opened her eyes, glaring at her body. The body quickly started twitching, and Eris's head flew in and reattached, and as quickly she pulled the sword out of her heart and healed herself, falling to her knees and gasping for air. "I can't hold it for longer," she panted, falling on her face. "Holy magic and my vampiric blood magic could assist each other in keeping my body alive and moving, but they quickly start fighting and spiral out of control. I can keep my head alive and well easily, but the body is a problem. You surviving that long with a stab through the heart by a silver sword, and then having your head chopped by Vampire Slayer sword and still being alive, I would say that's impressive enough." Isdis approached her with a towel. "Rest for a bit." Thanks, Eris took the towel to wipe the sweat from her forehead. "But it isn't enough. I have the leisure to focus here, but in a real battle, I won't be able to do it." She sat and looked at the sky. "Still need to work more on it. I can imagine a paladin or a vampire slayer cutting your head off with pride, only for you to laugh and put it back on." Isdis giggled. "The more of those things you layer on top of another, the harder it becomes to fight you. If I started the fight normally with a regular spear, then started flinging plasma left and right, actively avoiding the sun just to mislead the enemy, and when they finally manage to drag me into the sun, they discover that it doesn't hurt me and that I was only messing with them." Eris stared at Isdis with a grin. "The battle grows desperate, and they pull all of their tricks to cut my head off, just for my body to keep fighting. All of this, and they still didn't know I could use holy magic or elemental expansions. Always keep Plan B around." As Isdis said that, Zephyr flew out from the mountain edge, her wings flapping, barely lifting her body. The two stared at her massive stomach. "You were eating again? You can do that slowly, can't you?" "Don't know when Vlad would attack, so I'm stuffing myself as much as I can," Zephyr replied, sitting on Isdis's head. "Ah, my stomach hurt." "If you came, then it means something happened." Eris looked at her, and a smile crossed her face. "Don't tell me Arad woke up." "No, he didn't. We have a problem." "It's with Roberta." Zephyr looked at them. "Did more bandits target her shop?" "I'll call a royal guard squad to guard her," Isdis said with a smile. "She's stuck in a contract with a devil," Zephyr said. "It's stickier than old slime with Arad asleep. We might need your help." Zephyr pointed at Eris. "My help with what?" Eris looked at her. "And expedition to hell. We need someone sturdy to place spy items and spells. We're playing a game against that devil." Zephyr smiled. "We'll make him fail his end of the contract before we fail ours." The two stared at her. "And what's the contract about?" "Our side is simple. We have to kill Roberta's father, and you," Zephyr pointed at Isdis. "It's rather simple, but his description makes it so that the contract isn't finished until you and her father rot in the abyss. And what is his part of the deal?" Eris looked at Zephyr, and Isdis gasped in the back. "Wait, kill me? The devil's side of the bargain was making Roberta the wealthiest woman in the kingdom with no strings attached or legal problems, pure riches. Zephyr smiled with her eyes glowing green. He knows we can't kill Geralt or you. That's why all he needs to do to win is make Roberta the richest, and she'll be considered to fail her contract. Won't that make her riches only last a moment? Eris looked at Zephyr. How is that right? This is why making deals with the devil is a bad thing. They always play on words and make it harder to understand and get what you want. Zephyr put one leg on another. It's been a long time since I played a tug-of-war with a devil. What was it called in the past? She started thinking, trying to remember. She opened her eyes with a grin. Contracted debt. A game when the winner is whoever makes the other one drowns in debt first. And you need me to help set spying items so you know the devil's moves and make the first attack. Eris smiled. I'm ready. No, that devil already won the first round by killing Roberta's mother before she could kill her husband and Isdis. If she succeeded, she would have still died but would left Roberta with unlimited riches. Zephyr started thinking. No matter how I think about it, the mother's goal is still vague. From the outside, she seems to have wanted to make her daughter rich no matter what, but that still seems off, as if she was trying to make the devil fail his end of the bargain just as much as he wanted her to fail. I don't understand, Isdis said, trying to look at Zephyr, who sat on her head, but only managed to see her legs. You're playing a game with the devil? And you're sending Eris to hell as a spy? Can you even send people to hell? Not by conventional means. I would have sent Arad if he was awake, but now Eris is the best option. Zephyr stared at her. Sorry, but he's far stronger and durable than you. It doesn't bother me to be his second plan. In fact, I find it stunning that there isn't anyone else besides me you can send. Eris giggled. Could I even survive there? We only need you to go to the first layer, nothing deeper. Zephyr smiled. It'll be painful, like swimming in a pool of acid or getting roasted alive, but you're quite heat-resistant. The second part won't bother you. And about the acid, Eris glared at her. We'll give you the best items Merlin has, but I'm almost certain they'll fail sooner or later. Mortal magic items aren't designed to withstand hell. She waved her hand. So the question is if I'll swim in acid and regenerate through my flesh and bones melting for Roberta's sake. Eris giggled. I'll play. She laughed. I bet my plasma and holy magic combined could burn the hell's acid away. Read. Ooh, just don't die. If you died there, your soul would get bound to hell forever. Zephyr stared at her. Then let's gather up to prepare. Zephyr nodded. Time to beat the devil at his own game. Chapter 658, Stepping into Hell. Chapter 658, Stepping into Hell. This doesn't look right. Eris looked down at the massive brown robe they made her wear and the stupid-looking goggles, mask, and long leather scarf they intended on wrapping around her head. Hell is a place of pain and torment. Even I won't survive for long exposed to the elements there. Wear proper protection so you would suffer the least, hopefully not suffer at all. Zephyr buzzed like a bee between the girls, landing at Ayla's head. I can't go as I need to remain here and set the other side of the spells, Merlin said with an apologetic face. Out of everyone, you are the most durable one. Anything I should know about hell? Eris asked, covering her face with the mask. The lower you go, the harsher the environment gets. The gate would drop you at the peak of a mountain in the first layer of hell, Avernus. At such high, you'll only feel a bit of discomfort and irritation, probably get an annoying itch all over your body from the acid, but nothing more. Zephyr stared at Eris, and I guess the lower I go, the more dangerous it gets, Eris replied. Pretty much at the mountain base, your skin would melt and boil from the acid, and in a matter of an hour only bones would remain, at which you'll get resurrected as a sinner to be melted again over and over for eternity. Zephyr waved her hand. That set of equipment would protect you for almost 2 hours. Merlin approached. Avoid fights at all costs and try to set the spells and items, then run back to the gate as fast as you could. Of course, I'll avoid fights. Eris stared at Merlin with her fists resting on her hips. They won't just waste my time, but those protective gears could get damaged, at which I'll have even less protection. That's true, so be careful. Zephyr nodded. I did think of sending Nina, but she's clueless about magic, and I doubt she'll be able to avoid starting fights. The sooner we get it done, the better. Eris waved her hand, and Merlin conjured a massive hell gate. Are you sure? Roberta stared at Eris with a worried face. You don't have to. I'm not doing this just for you. Exploring beyond the boundary of our world is quite fun. Eris smiled. How many people do you know that went to hell and came back? Fun? You might not be able to return? Which mortal walks willingly into hell? The place everyone is supposed to spend their whole lives striving to avoid getting into? Roberta gasped. Those who wish to stand out, Eris replied. Everyone can grow stronger by leveling up. Everyone can access magic items, and everyone can get blessings or curses to become a vampire. If it's open to everyone, then how do you stand out from the masses? How to show the world you're different, that you're someone they can't reach even in their dreams? Eris smiled, by doing what no one dares to. If paladins would think twice before attacking a vampire lord, they'll think 10 times before attacking a vampire that survived hell. Aela sighed. Why do you two look alike? She looked at Eris, remembering Arad. I guess it's the dragon blood. Just don't die. I'm already dead. Eris smiled beneath her mask, walking toward the hell gate. Be careful, I'm opening it. Merlin waved her hand, and everyone backed away. They could feel their skin burns just from the acidic air, and their noses twisted from the horrid stench of rot. Eris walked into the gate, and Merlin immediately closed it after her. The moment Eris landed in hell, she could feel her limbs tingle. The fine hair on her body stood as she shivered, goosebumps covering her whole body as stared into the infinite torment of hell. Crackling black clouds of ash and cinder spark with lightning that strokes the ground below, melting the stones on impact. The cries of sinners masked the howls of the violent acidic winds blowing across the wasteland, melting everything occasionally. Parts of the land combust as the lightning ignites the acidic gases unleashed by the rotting corpses of the sinners, bursting into a blue inferno with a loud explosion. The sinners sought those explosions to die and taste the relief of death for those few seconds before they were resurrected again. This place, Eris mumbled, staring down the mountain she landed on, is foul. Her sharp eyes spotted some sinners desperately crawling toward a pile of rotting corpses, hoping it would explode in fire. Their bodies were tied with steel chains hinged on their bones, binding them to hell for all eternity. And this is only the first layer. She started walking down, heading for the location Merlin mentioned. Go to the mountain base where you could find a massive crack in the ground and throw the items there. And for the spells, cast it close to a pool of lava. The bigger, the better. Clear directions, but where the hell do I find those? With each step she took down the hill, she could feel the hell's air around her getting denser, the cursed mana rising and her itch grow stronger. Why don't they climb up here? She mumbled, staring at the sinners crawling far at the bottom of the mountain. With what Merlin and Zephyr said, the top should be better. An intruder? A voice came from behind Eris, and she rapidly turned, seeing 3 naked imps glaring at her. Entrance to hell is forbidden. Then should devil's entrance to the mortal world. She smiled beneath her mask, glaring at the 3 devils, glaring down at her. Big words for a mortal. The imps giggled. We're from the jailer's battalion of Avernus. Our job is to make sure the sinners keep to the lower levels and suffer. If we found one of them crawling up here 5 times, we'd throw them down one of the pits. They pulled long, 3-headed red spears. I'm no sinner. Eris stared at them, lifting her hand up. I'll throw you down the pit. Do your job and search for sinners. The imps giggled. Pin really has a strong mistress. They put their spears away. He left word for you, we imps won't bother you. But don't tell the higher devils we're ignoring your existence. You'll get in trouble. One of them flew down and pointed his spear in a direction. There is only imp watch in this direction. Take it and keep low so other devils won't spot you. Work. Of course he did. The bastard wouldn't shut up about how powerful and a strong mistress he got. Seems his claims were right, seeing you made your way to hell. The imps giggled. Updated from Ebel. Hapt 6-59, an intruder in hell. Iris rushed down the mountain, following the directions of the imps as she avoided the other devils. In each corner she could see them patrolling around with their spears and swords, kicking any sinner that tried to climb the mountain. How many of them are around? Eris mumbled as she hid behind a massive stone with a small imp. We imps are the bottom feeders of hell. Each layer has 3 ranks of devils. They are lower, mid, and upper rank devils, the imp explained. So you're lower rank in the first layer, yeah. But keep in mind that the lower rank devils of the second layer are stronger than the high rank devils of the first layer. The imp added, even 10 of us lower ranks couldn't hope to beat a single middle rank. Be careful. 15 lower rank equals 1 mid rank. 15 mid rank equals 1 upper rank. I guess those red-skinned humanoids are mid-rank devils, right? She looked behind the stone at the devils. In this layer, goblinoids like us imps are lower rank. Humanoids are mid-rank and large monstrous devils are high rank. The imp looked at her. You're impressive yourself. Judging by magic alone, you're almost as strong as 5 mid-rank devils, he giggled. I'm not letting any magic out. And what's leaking is me using my fireside to fend off the heat. I'm probably able to at least fend off a high-rank devil. Eris smiled. Let's go. I don't have much time here. She rushed down the mountain, quickly reaching the foot and hiding in a massive crack in the ground. Eris poked her head out. There are another 4 cracks in the ground beside this. She looked around, sweating. No, those aren't crack claw marks, she gasped. Those cracks were so large someone could mistake them for ravines from afar. What kind of titanic monster could leave such a mark? Even mountain-sized great worms aren't this big. She looked around for one of the imps. What left those claw marks? The imp looked down. Our lady, the current dominator of this lair dominator. You mean the devil lord of Avernus. She was the lord of this lair before, but now she only uses it as a feeding ground as she has other things to tend to. The imp replied, his legs shaking in place. Tiamat, the goddess of evil dragons. Even if everyone in the hell were to band together, they wouldn't save you from her jaws if she saw you as food. She isn't a devil, is she? Can't the devil lord Asmodeus do something about it? Eris asked. The imp showed her his index and middle finger. She and the Lady of Hell are like these, never separated. Some rumors even say they are married to the same man, so be careful. The imp shook his head, and yes, Tiamat is stronger than the Lady of Hell in combat. In fact, her power is feared across the multiverse as one of the harbingers of destruction. A goddess staying in hell? I find it hard to believe she could be that strong. At least probably fell from grace. Eris giggled. You couldn't be more wrong, the Lady of Hell stated it herself. Tiamat is staying in hell because her mere presence would rip the heavens apart and burn half the other gods. Seriously? Eris pulled a paper from her pocket. Better record this. Knowledge about the world is quite rare. Hell is a place to punish the sinners, but it also humbles the stranded visitors like yourself. The world is still too big, and the mortal's achievements and limits are just like that, mortal and finite. He pointed forward. That a ravine, didn't you want to find one? He pointed at the distance. You're right, Eris smiled, lifting her head and looking around. There are no mid or high-ranked devils around. You can go, the imp said with a smile, but keep an ear for my warning. Leave at once if I give you a signal. Word, Etko. Got it. Iris rushed toward the ravine. Immediately she pulled a scroll and started setting Merlin's spells. An hour had passed and she could feel as if needles were piercing her skin all over her body. The protection of her gears dropped with time. And she barely had any left. I'm almost done. Could have wished for a better outcome, an hour uninterrupted. We might pull this in one try, lady. The devil whispered to her from afar. Mid-ranked devils, come back here. she heard him and turned around, waving her hands. A bit more time. 1 minute is enough, she whispered. Distract them. I'm almost done. We're getting this over with here and now. As 3 mid-rank devils approached the raven, the imp cut their way. Masters, do you have a moment? They stopped, staring at the imp. What's it, critter? One of them growled. Calm down, the second one smiled. The imps work for us all day long. Let's give him a moment of our time. The third one glared at the imp. Make it quick. The western center field has one noisy dwarf. Should we drop him deeper into a ravine? A noisy dwarf? You mean that, bastard? Throw him as deep as you want. He's a sinner who cares, they glared at him. You come to us when there is an intruder, or a sinner too strong for a group of your bugs to handle, not when you want to ask stupid questions. He kicked the imp away. Get out of our way, fool. One of the mid-rank devils went silent, his face twisting. Those idiot imps, their senses are as dull as dirt. He growled, Focusa, I feel a magic unchained to hell. He growled, lunging toward the ravine, looking from above to see Eris sitting at the side, hiding behind a boulder. Draconic fire magic, a red dragon or a half-red, the devil growled, and the rest rushed after him. You've slipped behind the imps' backs, but not ours. They pulled their spears, pointing at Eris. Chet, I just finished setting the spells, but how do I get out? Eris slowly turned her head toward the devils. My gears are about to break, and the gate is a long way up the mountain. Curdbed. What if trespass into hell are bound to it? One of the devils growled, walking forward. We'll kill you once, and then the chains of hell will keep you here till the end of time. Can I just leave? Eris stood staring at them. Can't you just pretend that you didn't see me? A woman, the devil smiled. What a lucky find. Should we call the high ranks? The second one mumbled. They'll hog her for themselves. We catch her alone and call a few more mid-ranks. She's strong. One of them walked forward. Should have known it'd end badly if you came to hell. Updated from a One of them threw his spear toward her, forcing her to dodge to the side. Eris growled, looking around as she saw even more mid-rank devils surround her. You really crawl out like worms out of rotten corpses, she said, as she ran between them. Said the woman who walked on her own into hell. A devil stared at her with a smile. You aren't running away? More cut her way, forcing her to stop. We said stop, you aren't going anywhere. Eris lifted her fists. I'm not going down without a fight. Your choice. One of the devils rushed at her, thrusting his spear forward. With a giggle, Eris jumped over his attack, stepping on his head and jumping away, using him as a platform to escape the devils surrounding her. This woman, a devil growled, seeing that she deceived them that easily. Crack, as Eris ran away. A massive devil emerged from the ground, swinging a kick toward her face. She lifted her arms and blocked with a boxer's guard, getting flung back at a blinding speed. Spears, the massive devil growled. You're supposed to inform us when there is an intruder. The mid-rank devils shrunk back as he glared at them, a high-rank rage devil. He was to them what they were to the imps. Eris stood, the clothes around her arms ripped apart and her goggles cracking. One hit, and it's gone, she growled, seeing that her protective gear was at its last leg, breaking apart from a single hit. You're mine. The rage devil stared at Eris with a smile. Those idiots couldn't even catch you, but speed is all that you have. The mid-rank devils surrounded her again. I bet you're avoiding fights as your protective gear can't protect you from our attacks. Eris sighed, seeing the skin around her arms bubble and peel off from the acidic air. Even her eyes started burning as a searing pain engulfed her body. And they are done, no more protection from the elements. She threw the goggles away. A mid-rank devil pointed his spear at her neck. I'll kill first to bind you to hell. You can then get used to air at your own pace, he giggled. With your strength, it'll only be a few decades before you're able to maintain your form. Thud. Eris grabbed the devil by the face, her bloodied fingers digging into his skull. Shut up. With one move, she crushed his body to the ground, nagging and nagging. She growled with the searing pain she was feeling. The last thing she could endure was an idiot babbling in her ear. The mid-rank devils gasped, and even the high-rank devil took a step back, now that she took her protective gears off and didn't care about hiding her power. They could feel it. It's a purple one. The high-rank devil growled, and Eris flew at him, swinging her fist at his face. The mid-rank devils who stood beside her burned in a blast of plasma. The rage devil lifted his arms to block, but Eris's punch blew right through his defense, caving his nose into his skull. As the devil got blasted back, he did a flip and his face healed almost instantly. This raw power. How did she go undetected? Eris conjured a plasma spear and swung it at the devil's face like a quarterstaff. He dodged the first strike, but she used the momentum to send more whistling hits after him. Crack, crack, clap, crack. Each hit messed up his hard skin and shattered his bones like a steel rod smacking a tree trunk, cracking it and peeling its bark off. The devil ground his teeth, sacrificing a limb to block Eris's spear, and swung a fist at her face, hitting her in the nose. "This," he gasped, his knuckles cracking as Eris bled from her nose. "My husband punches harder than you." She swung her fist up, breaking his arm with a punch. "He punches you." The devil dodged to the side. A sinner like him would rot in hell. He tried to swing a kick at her face, but she easily dodged and flashed past him with a burst of plasma from beneath her feet. "It's so bastard-like you can't take me down." She stared back at the devil, a massive chunk of his torso missing. Eris looked at the devil's heart in her hand, about to throw it, but then decided to chuck it in her pocket. Merlin could buy it. "My husband doesn't need to worry about my safety in this cruel world." She jumped away, rushing toward the portal, as the hell's air melted her skin. "My regeneration is keeping up thanks to my training, but I'll soon run out of blood. I can use holy magic to heal, but Lydia warned me that devils are sensitive to holy magic. Using it here is akin to calling every powerful fiend in this lair to hunt me." As she ran up the mountain, 5 deformed devils rushed toward her. More high ranks? I guess they called for backups. She accelerated herself with plasma, trying to run past them. Her goal isn't to fight and win, but to escape hell. Bam! One of the devils lunged in her way, swinging a sword. He is faster than the one before. Like humans, being of the same rank doesn't mean they have equal speeds and strength. She dodged the sword, but the devil kicked her in the guts, sending her flying back. The devil stared at his leg. "It hurt like kicking a stone," he growled, staring at Eris with a wide smile. "You're strong, aren't you? I can easily beat them one-on-one, but facing multiple is a problem." Eris swung her arm, firing several plasma blasts at the devils to separate them. The devils dodged the plasma blast, and Eris took the opportunity to lung at one of them, thrusting a plasma spear at his head and pinning his skull to the ground. He won't be reviving any time soon. Seeing an empty exit, Eris flew as fast as she could, propelling herself forward with plasma. Crack. An arm emerged from the ground, grabbing her leg and throwing her back. Another devil like the first one. It was another rage devil, and more came after him. In the blink of an eye, she was surrounded by 20 high-ranked devils. "Give up, plasma woman." One of the devils said with a giggle, "You might be stronger than 2 of us, even a 3, but you can't handle 20. He clenched his fist. "It's the first time in a decade someone gave us troubles." With a smile on her face, Eris lifted her hands, putting them together and combing her fingers. "It's a gamble." Seeing the crazed smile on her face, the devils instantly knew they messed up getting this close to her. They saw that look thousands of times. When sinners spend thousands of years in her, their only wish becomes death. Suicidal maniac, she doesn't care if she dies. Plasma, expansion, purple sun. Plasma exploded from her body, burning all 20 devils at once before they could even run. But the blast resonated across the entire lair, calling all devils and drawing the attention of a certain voracious glutton. Eris knew that, and she didn't waste a second to blast as fast as she could toward the gate. She could see the gate at the top of the mountain. "I'm there." Crack. A devil emerged from behind the gate, punching Eris in the guts before she could reach it, blowing a hole in her torso. "To think high-ranked devils fell to you?" he growled, looking at Eris, who hung on his arm that pierced her torso. "I'm the devil, Lord of Avernus. Did you really think I couldn't make it here in time after you unleashed that blast?" Eris giggled, grabbing his face in her palms. "Yeah, I'm all out of blood. This hell really drains my power." Her eyes turned gold. "Wait," he gasped. Holy expansion. Solar domain with a crackle of golden lightning, a blast of blinding light illuminated Avernus. All devils could feel the powerful surge of holy magic as the devil lord burned to ash. Thud. Eris fell on the ground, crawling toward the gate as her muscles melted from the hell's air. "I need to reach it." Crack. The devil lord resurrected beside the gate. "Did you forget?" "We don't die," he said, with all the devils she killed rising from the ground behind her, "but to kill me an impressive feat." "None would touch you beside me." He swung his fist at the gate, shattering it, but not before a faint green light rushed in. The devil lord blinked, seeing a second woman, bleeding as her skin melted from hell, sitting beside Eris. "Go home, I'll take it from here." Zephyr put a crystal on Eris's head, and she got teleported out of hell. "Got her out, but the gate is shattered," he giggled. "How long until they can create another gate? An hour at best. With their current skills, I'd say like 4 hours. Zephyr stood, blood dripping across her skin. "You're stuck here with us for 4 hours. Do you think you can survive an escape out of the gate?" He burst laughing, and so did the other devils behind Zephyr. "You seem to misunderstood something." Veins bulged on Zephyr's forehead as her eyes glue with bright green light. "You're the one stuck here with me for 4 hours?